Hello there, friends, and welcome to Strangers in the Night, your source for late night VR gaming talk. I, of course, am your host, Wes. With me, as always, are my good friends, Eric. What's up, brother?
Not much, man. It's good to be back. Feels like it's been a little while.
Yeah, it's been a minute, right?
Yeah.
Since you've been, stateside in front of your camera, in front of all your beautifully displayed headsets. It's been a while.
Yeah, right. Got a million.
And of course, my good friend Ruuts. It's prime time. Strangers in the Night. What the hell are we? What are we doing, man?
I don't know, man. People don't know what the hell's going on. I don't know what's going on. It's raining again here in Colorado. I can't turn around. It just keeps raining, bro. Like it's storm clouds everywhere. It's green. It's the greenest I've ever seen. And I have a bone to pick with Eric, and it's not about the buzz that may or may not be there. You planted a seed in my head, and then Lincoln Clay watered it a little bit, and I didn't get the headset, but I did pick up the controllers. I thought this is what I thought. I thought I would test it. Thought I would test it. Just do a little testy test, right? Go to Best Buy, swing by, try it, return it. Now I have a dilemma because these things are so fucking good. Like the next level on everything, Audica, Beat Saber, whatever it is, Population 1. I'm hitting shots with a sniper without a gun stock, which clearly won't fit on this because I don't have a Mr. Tass Pro stock thing. And so the craziest one, I mean, Audica, Radio Runt, man, what are you doing? You need to pick these up, dude. This is like a game changer for Audica. Walkabout mini golf. Because you swing it back there. I just feel I knocked a couple strokes off my game. So yeah, it's definitely really good. And now I'm have a dilemma because now I'm like thinking, if I sold this headset for 300, another 400, and I own the headset. So I don't know, man. What is happening?
Quest 3's coming, Roots, though.
I know
Quest 3 is coming.
Yeah, but then
bro.
you can use those controllers with the Quest 3.
Right.
Was the real another reason why I'm probably not going to return them, because like I was playing with my Quest 2 because I got these today. I was playing with my Quest 2 last night, and my joystick is starting to feel really creaky on my left one, the one that was drifting.
Mm-hmm.
And you can physically feel that it's not right. Like something's weird with it. And so it's getting ready to go out. And I thought, well, if I'm going to have to buy another pair, why would I not get a pair that will sync with my new headset that I'm getting in 4 or 5 months? That's the reality, right? So I don't know.
Now I feel like I've got the FOMO going on. I don't have any cool controllers, and truth be told, I don't really use my Quest all that much anymore, except for occasions like this where we're doing a game of the month, and I'm cramming at the end of the month to try to play all the stuff. But I could definitely see. Here's me. Like I want to wait and see how good the Quest 3 controllers are, because they could be a big improvement over Quest 2. Quest 2's days are numbered in my house. It's about 3 or 4 months away from being full on family toy and something I'll never use again. So as much as I'd love to try these controllers out, I think I'm going to wait and see.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, it's just, for me, it's so far, it's just felt like it's next level on every game that would matter. And like even Sniper Elite I went into, and it just, everything feels better. Oh, dude, get this. You saw me play more in depth than I've played forever. And the bow, like literally being able to actually knock the bow next to my cheek, like you actually are, is game changer with accuracy. Because
it changes, right? You get that extra torque on there, and it shoots straighter, right?
Right. It's just the way it's supposed to be, and I didn't realize how much the jank of, like, I just can't. That's my biggest thing. You get in a shooter, and I don't want to be doing this with my gun as I'm trying to aim down sights. That gets really old, and it's very immersive breaking. Like, I don't understand how nobody talks about that. I guess maybe they haven't tried. I guess if you've used CV1 or anything like that, we make excuses. What I was telling D earlier, we'll make excuses for a lot of things until we've like overcome them, and then then we'll trash the fuck out of it. But it just sucks, man. Like Now I'm stuck. It's a $300 pair of
You're
controllers.
stuck. I know, but
And they're good.
that good though. But this makes a couple of things make sense to me. So when we got off the air last night for QTC VR Gamer, D said, Mesh, I just want to let you know that Ruuts is playing Beat Saber right now. And I'm like, what the fuck is Ruuts playing Beat Saber for? I can barely get Ruuts into a headset now. And when he goes in, he's playing Beat Saber. Well, now it makes sense. You were going in to test out the controllers.
I wanted to, yeah, I had fun, but I wanted to go on and test, like, get a good feel for a lot of games with the regular controllers first, so that I had something to compare it like directly to, especially with like in death and stuff. And the biggest thing was like for in death is when you're aiming down, when you're on top of a building and you're trying to aim down at them, you can like literally aim down instead of doing this weird angle that you just to get it to be able to see the bow, you know. So
now you're in the conundrum that I've been having for like a year now, which is like these are definitely the best tracked controllers I've ever seen, like even compared to like base station controllers. But again, I don't know at $300 if I'm like, yes, you should go out and buy them. Like you're probably in the same boat now. Like you don't even know if you should keep them.
Yeah,
and you're loving them. You still don't know if you should keep them.
If my left controller wasn't having issues, then I'd be a lot more like questioning back and forth. But it is the best track controller I've ever used, and like seriously, Walkabout Mini Golf, it felt smooth, and I got to thinking about it. Even though it's got things in to where when you pull your thing back, or even just grabbing your backpack, that's why you have problems grabbing backpacks half the time, is because sometimes you lose occlusion and it doesn't grab it. And so like I would imagine, I haven't gotten into too many backpack games, but I would imagine it's a lot easier to grab. So if the Quest 3 wasn't right around the corner, then I would have a bigger problem, because then I would be more inclined to maybe get the Quest Pro. But I hear Brad in the back of my mind from a couple weeks ago when he was saying there's no reason outside of eye tracking and things that they're not even using right now to really have that outside the controllers, which are a little bit overpriced. So
yeah. Speaking of Beat Saber, I've got a bit of a dilemma, Eric. I don't know what to do. So we're not having a show tomorrow. That's kind of part of the reason why we're going tonight with Strangers in the Night. But instead, I'm going to be over on Without Parole tomorrow, starting at noon Eastern, and we're doing our first top 25 debate. And I've got to put this list together.
Who's involved with this first? Is it just you and Brian, or is it the whole team?
No. It's all four of us. All four of us are going to be on there.
This is going to be a freaking
marathon
episode, dude.
It's going to be epic.
Moly.
Yeah. And you know, Beat Saber was the cause of a lot of controversy out of our last one, the top 50 that we did, because there were 5 of us there for that one.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, instead of just trying to debate everything, why don't we put together a point system? You know, everyone ranks 1 through 50. All of our number ones get 50 points. All of our number 50s get 1 point, and everything in between, right? So we can just tally up all the points and then rank them, and that makes sense. But everyone got really upset with where I had Beat Saber last time, because I put it like super low, because guess what? I don't like Beat Saber, and I think it's overrated, and that's even more so today than then. So I don't know what to do, man. I got to pick 25 games out here. If it were my top 25 favorite games, then there would be no Beat Saber. But that's not what this is. That's not what this is. This is kind of like what we do when we pick game of the year. We take a lot of things into consideration, like popularity and how palatable it is to casual players. And I don't know what to do. Where do I put Beat Saber? Do I put it in there at all?
Is it a top 25 popularity list, or is it a top 25 best games list?
See, that's the thing, right? Like they say we want to make the best overall list for everyone. But I mean, if we're going that way, then why don't we just put the top 25 sales up there and just go on, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. So I don't know what to do. Like if I were going to like put rhythm games in there, I would put Synth Riders first, or I would put Pistol Whip over that, or even Thumper. You know what I mean?
Have
I'd
you
rather
tried
play
PSVR
Thumper.
2's version?
No, but man, it's Beat Saber. You know what I mean? If it's something where PSVR 2 could actually make a big
Haptics,
difference.
maybe. Haptics could be
Maybe.
different. The colors.
maybe.
Shit.
I was
But shit,
thinking,
Beat Saber was the one thing that the move controllers could do really well.
right.
You know what I mean? What
Well,
hell-
but the
that- they
tracking,
can't-
you wouldn't
Yeah.
want to do 360 because of the cord, but you could do that more so now than you could do before, right? So I don't know. I've never tried the PSVR 2 version. Maybe it's amazing. And
Maybe I should get in and check it out before tomorrow. But I don't know. It's going to be a fun conversation. I do think Brian's going to try out a new scoring criteria, and I do believe that a lot of the tiebreakers are going to go to the chat. So I'm going to need some backup tomorrow, people. I need people to show up and vote so these guys don't just steamroll, man.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I it's not in my top 25. I'm not putting it in there. I'm just not. But
Of
I'm
all
not putting
time?
but I'm not putting games like Super Hot in there either, and I know everybody fights me on that. Just because I'm just saying that right now, you know, at one point, yes, but like if we're taking the top 25 games of today, they don't make it. Like they don't make it anymore. To me, maybe Beat Saber. One time, I probably would have put it in there. But like I said last night, we talked about Mother Gunship Forge because it's one of the games that is going to be available with this new Quest, you know, subscription system. And I'm like, this is the perfect game for that system because to me, I'm putting, I said to D last night and Todd, I think I would really have to think about putting Mother Gunship Forge in my top 25. Or at least somewhere close. Or it would be debatable anyway. I'd want to have to look at the other games, but it would be close. I mean, this to me today, there's just better games. There's better made games. You know, again, you know, there's a lot of games that are classics that I'll say it's a classic. But are we making a top classics list, or are we making a top 25 game of today list? Because there's a lot that just don't cut the mustard anymore. Sorry.
Right. If I'm trying to convince a traditional gamer that they need to play VR, and I get one title to put them in, Beat Saber ain't going to be it, man. Because people are going to play that, and they're going to be wowed for about 5 minutes, and then they're going to get bored with it. And so, all right, this is a neat little tech demo, but where are the games at? And Beat Saber's just not one of those, in my opinion.
I say I wouldn't put Mother Gunship Forge on any list for me, but I just didn't care for the game that much. I like the fact that it's roguelite and that type of stuff, but I didn't like the gameplay as much as everybody else did. And so, like, I guess everybody's different. You know, I think Beat
I thought it
Saber
was fine.
is a really good game. I mean, obviously, if you took a game and you said, "What's the most known game of all time?" Oh, like the average person is going to know. Yeah, obviously, Beat Saber is gonna be up there. I think the thing that goes against them, and it's what Eric says all the time, is they haven't done. It's kind of like Audica, amazing game, but what the fuck have you done? You know what I mean? Like at some point, you just stopped. And I think Beat Saber, this is my thing, when Quest 3 comes out and you have mixed reality to some extent involved with it, that's probably what it's going to be. You're going to have blocks coming into your room, and it's going to be cool, and it'll be a totally different refresh.
Can't wait.
You know?
That'll be amazing.
So that's probably what they've been working on. I don't know, man. People love it. It's not, I mean, because we've been in VR for so long, and I have as well, moved past. I like to go back from time to time. I really did have fun playing what I played yesterday. Am I going to go back in there every single day? No, I'm not. But it was fun, you know? It was like going back.
Dude, I wish we had time to kind of go back through the Gen 1 stuff and re-highlight some of the titles that were staples for us. But we have a whole new crowd of people in VR now that weren't playing back then. So I'd love to be able to go back to some of those Gen 1 masterpieces and highlight them a little bit more.
Maybe we make a list at some point, right? Of all the Gen 1 masterpieces, of the top 25 of that. So.
Yeah, that'd be great. Well, I mean, we were talking about Crashland on Eric's show yesterday. Like, that's an incredible game, even by today's standards. It's a freaking awesome game. And like nobody outside of, you know, our core viewership really knows about that game.
Yeah, that's crazy.
There's dozens more like it. So, maybe we'll do that. You know, things are kind of slowing down. I hope it stays like this. I love it when the release schedule stops because we get to kind of go back over and play some of the stuff that we missed or spend more time in some of the stuff that we didn't get to spend as much time in as we'd like. And that's where we're at now. So hopefully the VR gods will give us a month off That would be incredible.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
So I think we have is about a month. We better
Yeah,
enjoy that
yeah,
month.
you're
'Cause I
right.
think that's about all we have.
Well, they certainly didn't give us June off because, I mean, June was chock full of releases, and especially on Quest. It's crazy. It's like the fucking dam broke on Quest 2 or 3 months ago, and now games are just pouring into that catalog. So many that I couldn't even like bring them all in. Like there's probably 5, 6, 7 games that I didn't even list on this month's nominee list. Um, so anyway, we've got a lot to talk about. I've been playing a lot of VR these last couple of days. Eric, what can I say? I'm glad we waited the extra day because I've played so much VR in the last 24 hours. It's crazy.
Same, man. I got a ton in last night, which was awesome, and then I had a ton in this afternoon and today, which I would never have gotten near. Like I don't like. There's a game that we're going to talk about that I think me and you kind of said the same thing. If we had done the show last night, I don't think I would have been able to give enough time to it, and I think my opinion would have been completely different today about that game because of the time I put in it. And it really goes to show you that if you are looking at reviewers who are playing games and you are taking their word for what they think of a game, and they are only playing 40 minutes of a game or 30 or whatever, you need to know that. Like you need to like really look at what they're showing you. Like all these reviewers that are showing you the same 15 minutes of the first part of the game. I mean, there's some really good ones out there. I know Gamertag puts a ton of time in his reviews. Mateo used to put a ton of time, and he used to finish all his games. But there are reviewers I know out there that put 30 to 40 minutes in, and that's it. And that just does a disservice to a lot of these games. And we'll talk about one tonight.
Yeah, and just to be fair, or I guess for anybody that watches this show, to clarify, we aren't doing reviews most of the time. I mean, 99% of them are first impressions. So definitely go to one of those review sites if you want to know like a review. Don't come here for it because that's not what we do.
Yeah, typically it isn't. Now there are exceptions. You know, there are games that grab us, and we play through them because they're so good. And typically we can get a little more in depth. Games like Synapse, for example, I've played right
Resident
through
Evil
that.
Village.
Yeah, well, I
Hubris.
I still haven't finished Village. Like I still haven't finished it.
Yeah, I'm still on that last guy. So.
But yeah, good Hubris, which we'll talk about in a moment. But I got to say, all the stuff that I've played over the last 24 hours in an attempt to get ready for this episode, I think unanimously everything that I played was better than I thought it would be. Like all the games were better than I expected them to be. So it's been a fun day, and I'm glad we waited.
Yep.
Definitely.
Although the fights are on right now, what am I doing? I'm sitting here doing
no.
a show. There's a pay-per-view on. What the hell?
Man, it's crazy.
Anyway, let's get this thing kicked off right. Let's do some roll call. Say hello to our friends in chat. Mickey Barrios is here. What up? Bad Robo's in the house. Good to see you. Chinatown D. What up? Lesser Logic's here. Assassin 32 VR is here. Roman Plays says, hi, fellas. 3 a.m. here in the UK. You are a blessing to us Nocturnals. Big up, all three of you. Well, thank you. Thank you. That's the idea, right? That's kind of the I mean, we were kind of thrust into doing night shows. Well, I think, honestly, when we started, we weren't planning on doing a night show, but we kept getting delayed, and it was like nighttime every week. And we said, you know what? Nobody else is doing nighttime. Why don't we be that late night show? We can be the David Letterman of VR.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know anybody that goes this late.
So the question is, if I'm Letterman, which one of you are a Paul? Hey,
Definitely
Paul.
Ruuts. I'm not an original, so it's got to be Ruuts.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. You got any gum?
No.
Oh, anyway, what's up, Looper? The Underground Game Cat is here. Wolvraza, hello. Scott, the PSVR Game Cat for Life, says Pistol Whip is better than Beat Saber. Pistol Whip is better than Beat Saber, and Pistol Whip's better now than it was when I was playing it. They've added so much into that game, and they keep adding stuff.
That was another game I went into and played rounds and was super accurate and flowed with double pistols. as I was
It's
boom.
crazy
you
how
know.
different it is now, right? Like it's a very different game than it used to be.
Yeah, super cool.
Rimrock in the house says, I prefer Pistol Whip. Agreed. Maybe I'll just put Pistol Whip in there and say the hell with Beat Saber.
Yeah, you know who else loves to whip the pistol?
My mom.
Yeah, she does. And I said, be gentle, please.
What's up, Gear? Good to see you. Techno Glitch is here as well. Sim in the house. Space Denison. What up, homie? Mepper's here. Chewy1 is here. What's up, Chewy1? You know who hates a Chewy one, Roots?
My mom.
Yes, she does. Dogs are better than cats? That's what somebody said.
Well,
Those are
Fighting
them
words.
fighting words, bro.
Q Creator is here. Q Creator shared our link on Threads. You guys on Threads yet?
I don't even know what Threads is. Is that
I am.
that the thing that's on that's a copying Twitter or whatever that they're suing for?
It's a Twitter clone that Facebook put out, and everybody's frantically going to get on it now. You ask people why everybody's going nuts for it. Why is it so cool? Because it's new and everybody's getting in early, and that's kind of the whole excitement of it.
Well, everybody has this idea that if this blows up, I want to be in first, which I guess kind of makes sense, but I don't know.
I'm torn.
I don't think it's going to, but only time will tell.
See, I'm torn because obviously it would be good for me to be on there with all the things I'm involved in. It makes sense for me to be on there. On the other hand, I'm a Twitter guy, man, and I'm going to be a Twitter guy. So I don't know.
It's crazy. No Threads for me, Mepper says.
You know who else hates Threads?
My mom.
Oh, she wants to go au natural. That's for sure.
All the time.
That's right.
Yep.
Handy Capable Gamer is here. What up? VR Spry Guy, happy birthday. James Williams is here. Salvador. True Prophecy 22. Matt and Kuda. What up, Matt? And Not Sure Brondo. What's up, Brondo? I think that's everyone. That's as far as I can scroll. If I missed you, I apologize. Third Shifter sliding in. So did you see Sarah showed Rogan Pop 1 trailer on JRE? No, I haven't watched the whole episode yet. I watched a few clips from the Matt Sarah episode, but no, I did not see that. That's cool.
Yeah.
That whole circle's kind of getting into VR. Tom Segura talks about Onward all the time now on his podcast. He's like a hardcore Onward player actually now.
That's cool.
Maybe we need to get back in
Wish it
there.
wasn't Onward.
I'm just not a big Onward fan. So, but it's been a long time since I've been in there. I think what'd you do before? You just went across the street, right? Just go across the street, shoot. You can't see shit. It's dark. That's what I remember about Onward.
What's up, Hack? He said, first time I heard Slipknot was on Conan, Wait and Bleed in like 99. Yeah, the first time I actually heard Slipknot was we used to go to Ozfest every year. We didn't miss it. We would religiously go to Ozfest. And that's where they debuted. It was kind of their first major tour in North America. And their album hadn't even released yet. But there were these things that you could watch back then that were kind of like clips of the Ozfest shows that had taken place before yours. And I remember seeing Slipknot on one of those and people being all blown away by it. And sure enough, the live show held up to the hype. It was incredible.
Is anyone blown away by current music anymore? Like, because most of it's
What's that?
well,
Is
most
there any
of
current?
yeah, most of it's fake. It's artificially tweaked. And vocals aren't even real anymore. So like at some point, it's kind of lost its appeal, right? I don't know, for a lot.
Decepticon, Alakazam, what up? Thought I saw somebody else slide in here. Lee VR, what's up, Lee? Hello, everyone. Welcome. So we're going to kick this game of the month off a little differently. We're going to roll in with PSVR to start off with. Quite a few releases on PSVR this month. A lot of them cross-platform though, and that is the case with We Are One. This is a game that's been in early access for some time and on App Lab. Was picked up, I want to say early last year by Fast Travel Games and released this month in the full release across Quest and Steam VR. Um, Eric, with We Are One, I kind of always knew the hook was this kind of time manipulation puzzling. But for some reason, it went completely over my head that at its core, this game is a shooter. It's a puzzle shooter, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, the shooting is not like, you're not going to go in here because it's a shooter, because you're shooting. Or if like you're a shooter fan, you're not going, I didn't need to go play We Are One. But yeah, I mean, at its base, it's about getting through the puzzles by using weapons that you need to kind of like figure out how you get from spot to spot with a weapon or with ammo. But yeah, I mean, it's one of the coolest like manipulations of a shooter that I've ever seen. Like it's a completely different twist on any type of shooter that you've ever thought of.
It's all about the strategy. Like the shooting execution part of it is kind of the smallest part of it. It's all about so the way it's set up is you have these nodes that you can occupy one time, and it records your action in that, and then you kind of back out, and then you replay that same period of time on a different node. So it's all about getting the right weapons and the right ammo to the right spot to clear the enemies out. And Ruuts, like it really ramps up slow. It starts slow. They really take a long time to kind of teach you every facet. But by the time you get up to like 15 or 20 levels into it, like it's really intricate in that you have to do things like go to a node and anticipate catching something that you haven't thrown yet and shooting a gun that's not in your hand. So like the way they make it, these puzzles work is you can only go once to each thing and you can't redo it. So some of the solutions actually have you sitting there and miming out, grabbing something out of the air and shooting enemies, which is difficult, man. It's difficult, but it's quite clever. And where I kind of thought this is something that I've seen before, it's actually quite unique.
Yeah, it's definitely unique, and it definitely sounds like it's very intricate. I just don't know if I can wait 15 to 20 levels. My thing is, I don't like repetition. I don't like repetition in this type of game specifically, and I've tried several different puzzle games that redoes this type of thing, and I've came to the conclusion I just don't think it's my type of jam. I love intuitive puzzles. I love physical puzzles, right? Like the exact opposite of puzzles that you probably would like. And that's a long time. Do you know how long it takes to get to 15, 20 levels in this thing, or how long it took you to get there?
No, it didn't take that long. The levels typically you play through in less than 30 seconds. Well, I mean, by the time you get all the spots in place and you hit play on the whole thing, it takes about 30 seconds. I'd say 5 or 10 minutes per level on it.
I got
Most likely.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely very innovative, and like you said, it adds something to this type of game that I haven't really seen. Super cool, and like people were saying in the chat, like specifically like with Beat Saber or other games. Not every game is for everybody, but that doesn't mean it's not a really good game. It just means that everybody's got different tastes on different things.
So Eric, I liked this game. I didn't love it. I liked it. I played it. I played my battery dead on it. Like I kept going with it. But with that said, I never even got into the leaderboard aspect of it. So you're trying to beat these levels and it's timed and they have leaderboards based on that. I think if I had kind of let myself lean into that a little bit more, it might have hooked me a little bit more than what it did.
Yeah, I mean, that's a cool thing that they put into it, and that wasn't even in the original, version of this game when it, originally kind of like was announced. Something added later, which was great. But I mean, to me, that's one of the biggest things about this game that kind of almost makes it a miss for me is because I've been playing this game for 2 years, man. I tried this game during Steam's Next Fest 2 years ago, and I demoed it at Gamescom last year, and then you demoed it again, and like, I love that they're able to promote these games, and the production cycle can be really long. But I think when you have them with this much access, and I think this happened to Hubris too, when you give this much access that early on, when the game finally comes out, it's not as exciting anymore. Like if I didn't know this game existed and it came out, and I saw the art style and the uniqueness of it and how cool it is, and the whole idea of the shooting and the manipulation and using clones of yourself, and the whole idea of having to, grow your another copy of yourself to throw a weapon to yourself to get to a different level, and it's very it is linear, but it's very non-linear because you're changing the way you can maneuver through the environment. I remember being at Gamescom, and I did my demo, and the developers a couple of them had come over and said, we've actually never seen anybody take that route to get to the end level. So, while you have to get to an end spot, how you get to that end spot is different for everybody depending on how your mind works, which is a cool thing. But again, to me, this game I was like, yeah, I've already done it. Like, I've already done it. I've already seen it. So a lot of people already have. You know what I mean? A lot of people had access to this game for a long time, and that is the biggest miss for me. Everything that you said, I'm down. Like I'm in it. Like the whole idea of having the leaderboard now definitely makes me, want to get back in here. But it's just like this game needed to come out a year ago.
Yeah, and I don't think that this game, I don't think they're doing themselves any favors by putting a demo out, because I'm sure, I haven't played the demo, but I'm sure it's from the early part of the game, and it takes this game a while to get good. It's pretty boring at the front, actually. Like it took it a while before things got complex enough to actually be challenging. And I think if they're putting out a demo, even like the first 10 levels in a demo, people aren't going to really get an accurate portrayal of what the game has to offer.
Yeah, agreed. And that's what it was. It was like the first 5 or 6 levels, I think, was the demo.
Yeah. Anyway, it was pretty good. Again, I liked it. I didn't love it, but I did play put a lot of time into it. It had my attention enough to keep me playing. And it was, I was really enjoying myself when my battery went dead, although it did stump me a couple times. And, I mean, you really got to get creative with some of this stuff to, figure out how to do it. Anyway, moving on, No More Rainbows also launched this month across Steam and, Quest. And, we covered this one, Ruuts. And again, I really like the concept here. It's classic platforming from a first-person perspective. They just kind of ruined it for me with the movement style. I want artificial running and jumping in this game, and they're not willing to give me that. So my enjoyment, my level of enjoyment in this game isn't near what it probably should have been.
Yeah, I'm not interested in like hopping around or whatever the fuck we had to do to move. This is, I mean, it really was actually kind of cool, and even that was cool in a little bit. But I'm with you. I just want a regular run style. I'm of the same mindset as I am of a lot of shooters and stuff. Just give me a button to do certain things. Doesn't mean that, don't make it the default. For lazy people like me, just give me the option so I don't have to reload, or I don't have to do whatever I don't want to do, something that wants to mainstream the gameplay, because that's what it's all about. And there's nothing mainstreaming about or streamlining about this hopping around. It's unique. It's one of a kind. And I almost wish it didn't exist in that respect, because you know what I mean? Like, don't show people that to do this. This is to me as gimmicky as racing like this, like in the old, I thought we got out of that in 2016. Like, didn't we learn our lessons when those mediocre games where you had to move around that way? People don't like it.
I think this is the damage, Eric, that Gorilla Tag has done to our space, because now that got popular with 10-year-olds everywhere, it kind of gave developers the green light to build games around that mechanic.
Yeah, because that's what that's what this is. This is Gorilla Tag movement. This is exactly what Gorilla Tag is, and that's why I hate it. I don't
Maybe
like
it's
it at
not
all.
for us. Yeah, maybe it
may
really
not
is
be.
for
Maybe
kids.
yeah. But the
Yeah.
problem is, it's not a free game. Like, and the kids that will play this game want to play Gorilla Tag because it's free. So,
True.
like,
Right.
if you're gonna sell a game, you know what I mean. You think then you need to make it available and appealing to everybody. And again, if half the people don't want to play this game because the movement is annoying, then that's a problem. You know what I mean? If you don't give us options, it's basically just like having a game where you can't smooth turn, you can snap turn only, right? I don't want to play that way. I don't want to play. There may be people that want to play that way. I don't. I'm not going to. And if you force me into it, I'm not going to play your game, and I'm not going to buy your game. So that's the same thing here. If you force me into your play style because you think that 90% of the free-to-play Gorilla Tag players want to play that game, that's fine. But then half of those people, or probably more, won't buy your game.
Right.
And it sucks because there's a lot here.
Mhm.
The vibe is awesome. The concept for a game is great. The level design is excellent in this game. It's just kind of one of those things that's almost there. And we say it all the time. I'm done playing sevens. I don't want to play any more sevens. And I feel like that's kind of where this lands. It's like it's a very average game that could have been pretty good.
Someone says you're old, dude. Need artificial moving. Jeez, laugh out loud. This is the thing. I don't know. It's weird. Okay, well, and it's weird to even say this in this frame because I don't know anybody that moves like this. But not everything has to be a sim. You know, I don't know anybody that's leaping around like that. So I don't know. I get it, and I think he's right. You know, it's not for old people. That's why Gorilla Tag doesn't really resonate with most older people. I don't want to be leaping around and doing all this weird shit. You know, I want, to me, my perfect, and I'm a perfect case point. Maybe I'm not, because we don't know how the average flat gamer coming into VR feels. But I legitimately want hybrids. I want the best of both worlds, and I think that to me is perfect. And so I'm looking forward to that stage that I know is coming. Because I don't want to, I live real life every single day. I don't want to, I'm tired of simulating life because this VR will never simulate what God's done on this planet. It's amazing. And it's just, I don't need simulators for everything. I guess that's my rant.
Well, and
Agreed.
it's not even just about like having to do the motions. Like, I'm okay with certain games. Like, I'm okay with like Grapple Tournament or a game that we played, Dead Hook, and that's a lot of movement with your hands and
True.
trying to like yank and pull this way or that way to get you through the environment. The problem is, to me, is it's not fast enough for this game. So it's not even just the fact that I have to do it like that. It's the fact that it doesn't feel fast enough. It feels slow. It feels
It's just
sluggish.
clunky.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. You're right. If it worked perfectly, it would be one thing. But I'm constantly catching my hands inadvertently on things, pushing myself backwards when I'm trying to go forwards. And I tried to really like this game, and I just never could quite get a good handle on it to where it was seamless and smooth enough. Because again, it is an old school platformer. It's something where you're going to attempt a jump and miss and have to go back and do it again and do it again. And the movement's just not good enough to keep me engaged through multiple attempts at all this stuff.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. It feels clunky. It just like,
Agreed.
you know what I mean? It needs to be faster paced or something. So,
Yeah.
and
J
that's
Devil says this is not for 50-year-olds. Dude, I get it. Like, not every game has to be for like a younger audience, but listen to me. If you make your game in a niche market for another niche market, you're going to sell nothing. Okay. So I don't know how well this game is doing, but I would say it's not lighting any sales numbers on fire. You know what I mean? You need to open your game up to everybody. I mean, it's not just kids playing VR.
right. And all we're talking about is an option to play it a different way.
Yeah.
That maybe 2% of people will play it that way, but at least those 2% or however many will enjoy it. But there is a point to it. You know, it's not made for us. But even if it's not made for us, it's still clunky. And so, like, that's what the biggest thing is about it. Like, even if I said, look, I don't like moving this way, but I guess I would like moving that way. I think what you said about other games feeling good when you're moving around and doing this, grabbing and grappling hook or whatever. They made it feel good. This doesn't feel good. So,
But you know what game was targeted for old fuckers like us? Pixel Ripped 1978. Eric, I don't think there's ever been a game that's more targeted for our demographic.
Seriously, this one might be targeted just for us. No, I don't know. This is a cool game for everybody. This is like, this is nostalgic, but you don't have to be just nostalgia to have fun in this game. I mean, it's so good. I mean, for people that did, who do know what Atari was and do, have played some of those retro games. I mean, it's super, super cool, but just the way they do this in VR and perspective changes and different ways to play and see things in VR is what makes Pixel Ripped, the entire series, super cool in VR. Arvory, Arvory is our masters at making VR games. Like, this game makes no sense flat, right? This is a VR game, and this is, they go to show you why they make great VR games.
Yeah, it's really good. Ruuts, for me and kind of the games that were my bread and butter growing up, I was kind of more of a fan of the like knockoff Nintendo stuff, knockoff PlayStation stuff than I am the legitimate Atari characters. But with that said, I feel like for the most part, the gameplay in this game kind of sets it a little bit above the previous two iterations. So while I wasn't blown away necessarily by all the Atari stuff that they had in here, the game itself I thought was really good.
yeah. There was. I mean, it's not only about the when you're playing the Atari stuff; it's the in between as well, right? And it just felt more fleshed out. I mean, this is clearly the best of the three, in my opinion. Although I did love every one of them. I just think that they really do have a knack, like Eric said, to make VR and bring the nostalgia. Like, that's the biggest thing you get from this, is you get that feeling of old schoolness, but you also get it in a way that, like, I've never seen Atari look this good. And I would agree with Techno Glitch. Atari does, looking back, it kind of sucks. For the time, it was amazing. The games, I could never be a retro gamer, because gameplay matters too much to me. And the gameplay in most retro old school games like this suck. So.
Right. And that's kind of why I think this game's a little bit better than the previous two, Eric, because this feels like a little bit more of a VR game. Like, it seems like with every iteration of Pixel Ripped, they lean into the VR aspect a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, and again, that's what I'm trying to say. That's why this game, like, I would not want to go back and play, some of these games on Atari system, but to play these in VR makes a whole bunch of sense, and that's why a game like this works for this, because it's super cool to get to see the perspective changes in here, to see like a flat game almost turn into, a complete 3D 360 environment where you're actually doing and touching things and throwing things at a screen. Just makes sense in virtual reality, where it probably just wouldn't make sense in any other way. And I'm the same way. I mean, I'm nostalgic for these things, but not in the fact where I'd want to go back and play them. Like, I am not a nostalgic game player where I want to go back and play anything, older, like I'll go to an arcade, you know what I mean, and play some old arcade games, but then I'm done, right? Like, I'm not, like, there are people I know that are out there, like Alex VR, he still plays, he brings a Sega system with him when he travels, because he can still get in there and play some of those old Sega games. He still plays Sonic the Hedgehog all the time. And it's just, those are not games that I want to go play all the time, but if I can play it in VR and have an experience where I get these types of changes that, like, super impress you in VR, that's what I really like. But it's cool to have the nostalgia of going, I remember that game.
What do you think about this being a niche, super small market game? As J Devil says, so bash Pixel Rip for going for a super small market. Because my thought is that for VR in general, and maybe it's still this way, I don't know, maybe it's not, but I kind of felt like the older people were the niche. Like there's more older people in VR than, and maybe that's different now, right? Because things have changed in the last 4 years or so. But what are your guys' thoughts on that?
I think it's valid criticism because you're right. You know, when we started in this, it was mostly people in our demographic, but
It's
Quest
changing.
has broadened that audience up. Although I would say that a game like this, I think, would be more palatable to younger people than a game like Gorilla Tag is for guys like us.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need to be older to play this game. Like that, just because this game is Pixel Rip 1978 doesn't mean somebody who's 15 couldn't get in there and have a blast with this game, which I think they would, because it's a great VR game. But a game like No More Rainbows, I'm not saying that 50-year-old people, it does like Daredevil get off on a whole wrong idea of 50-year-old people. It's not about just not wanting to move in that game. It's about the movement being slow and too clunky.
Clunky, right?
You know what I mean? So the game, to me, it's the game itself that is lacking. Okay, and it doesn't lend itself to everybody, and they just need to make options. This game lends itself to everybody. So like, there's not criticism here for this being a niche market because it's Atari. Because if it was just Atari and it only made sense to people like me, then it wouldn't make sense. But to go in here and still have a great time in these games, I could put my daughter in here who's 9 years old, and she would have a blast in here because it's cool and it's fun and it would wow her. And the gameplay is good.
My kids like it too, for what it's worth. Actually, I haven't put them in this one specifically, but they like 95 quite a bit. So yeah, just a case in point. So yeah, not all of these retro styles or retro gameplay concepts translate to VR. But you know what? Surprisingly, translated very well to VR is that Smash Bro Party Brawler style game.
Oh,
This is
Yeah, we don't have a lot of third-person games where you kind of like, you're in the environment, but you're really not. It's not a first-person title. You're controlling a hero in the environment, which I think is cool. I mean, not everybody is into these types of things, but I think if you do them well, I think it's cool. We just don't have a lot of these fighter style games, especially third-person ones in VR. And this game has impressed for a long time. This is another game. I played this thing like a long time ago, but where this one's a little bit different than VR1 is they've changed it up so much in the time that I first played it. Like when I first played it, it was a small demo of just the tutorial, and there was no lobby, there was no social part of the game, and then the fighting was the environments and the type of fightings that you could do was like super limited at that point. So yeah, I mean this is this is pretty cool. This is just a unique game. We just don't have a lot of these games, so to see one come out like this is pretty cool.
yeah, I would. What really surprised me about it is like the character models are all so good. The animations are perfect. Like the environments are diverse. It's like a legitimate. It's like a traditional game in that aspect, where you wouldn't know that this came from a small studio if you just put someone in it and asked them what they thought about it. You would think this is something you could find like on Nintendo Switch or something.
yeah, yeah, it's crazy. And my biggest thing that I'm wondering about this is like, how can people deal with not being in first person and not like punching with your own hands or kicking, Because that's what I would imagine that people, when you first would think of this, they would think, oh man, it's got to be first person. Like, you can't take a game and make it like Smash Brothers Brawl and just put somebody in there. That's not real VR, and it's bullshit. And it gets old hearing people say that. And I get it; it's an opinion, but man, are you missing out? This is like, And this is how I would feel about Returnal or whatever. You're in the fucking game and you're surrounded by the environment. Everything's shut out. And now you're getting to see these, especially with this, these amazing characters doing what you would just super cool. And I think it works really well. And I just think, I hope I see more games like this. Again, kind of like a hybrid game, although this one does kind of use, the controllers in a different way than just say a gamepad would. Right? It's kind of like a mix between both ways. Third person does work in VR and it works very well.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, Eric, like some of the special moves that they have going in here, you're glad that you're in VR when that stuff goes off, because some of these animations are absolutely epic.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of like they have it all here. Like they have all these different heroes that you can choose from, and they all have their different unique fighting styles. They have all these different unique finishing moves that like you're talking about, or special attacks, I should say. And the environments and the whole idea of like being on a boat, controlling a character in an arena on a board as you're like a big overseer looking down on it. It's just a cool concept. And I agree 100% with Ruuts. If you're like, I just can't play anything in VR if it's not first person, I mean, I get it. I mean, I like first person stuff in VR. It's just that there's a lot of cool, unique experiences out there that don't have to be first person. I mean, just because, something is in a VR headset doesn't mean you have to be looking at it from behind the eyes. I mean, this is a super unique way. I mean, I can think of 10 unique experiences in VR that I absolutely love where it's not first person. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, very surprising. A lot of game here, a lot of characters to unlock, a pretty deep progression system that's all unlocked through, I want to say through experience, but of course, that with this being a free-to-play game, you can also kind of buy your way ahead in it, which I don't know, how many people are actually doing that. But for what it's worth, I was kind of impressed with this game, and I think that it's great that something like this is available, so that if you want to try something different with friends, that everyone can just go pick it up for free and jump in and get a pretty full-fledged experience from the very beginning in it. So
Yeah,
it was really good, and I was impressed with it.
absolutely. And talking about, kids playing VR, this is a game that is perfect for them, right? And everybody loves Smash Brothers, or at least most people anyway.
And
Thanks
free.
for stop. Yeah, right, for free, exactly. Thanks for stopping by, Typical Kiwi. Lunch break's over. We'll see you later. Anyway, everything that we've highlighted up to this point for PCVR have been multi-platform games that have come out on multiple platforms, and it was kind of the reason why I put PCVR first, so we can knock some of this stuff out ahead of time. But we did get one PCVR exclusive, or at least one that's exclusive for the time being, and that game is Undead Citadel. This game we've been waiting on for many, many years. Finally dropped this past month from Dark Curry, and I don't know. I'll dig this game, man. Like, jank aside from our stream, when I got in here and played it without trying to stream it, everything worked really well. And for what it's worth, Ruuts, the little bits of jank that were in there with some of the climbing, some of like the combat, they have since patched it up and made it a much smoother experience. This is a high quality, almost arcade style hack and slash game, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and at least from your gameplay, as time got by, it got better and better, right? This is actually one of those games that gets better. So
yeah, it built the whole time that I played it. I think I'm about halfway through the game, and it just continues to get better. Although not the deepest gameplay loop in the world, right? While the difficulty ramps up with the enemies as they progress, you're still hacking and slashing, shooting arrows as you make your way through it. But it's pretty good, man. It's solid. Eric, did you get a chance to check out Undead Citadel?
I did, yeah. Not as much time as I wanted to spend in it, because I think I've been waiting for this one for a long time, but I did get a chance to get in and check it out. I like it a lot. I think it looks really good. I think it plays good. It's a little repetitive, but I like it a lot. I mean, I think there's a lot to like here. It just I wish it would have come out like 2 years ago. But yeah, I mean, it
Right.
seems like a game that should have come out 2 years ago too. You know what I mean? But I think there is a lot to like here, and I think they did a really good job. I think I'm impressed with some of the ways they did it. I mean, some of the melee is done better in some other games, but the presentation is done well here. It feels like it's a game that they took their time to make. It doesn't feel rushed. It feels like a PC VR game, which it is, which I really like. So I'm happy that the game is here. I just wish it was here a little bit sooner.
Sorry, I'm trying not to sneeze.
What about Power Wash Simulator? Roman Plays says, you think I joke, but for one cannot wait for Power Wash Simulator. And I'll tell you what, for me, one of my favorite moments in the last, like, I don't know, it's been a month or 6 weeks, was when GT asked what everybody's favorite game was, and he said Power Wash Simulator, and Mash's face was like legitimately like so shocked. Like you thought you were expecting him to joke, and he didn't laugh. And it was like,
No.
what the hell, man?
I've got a great power wash simulator for anyone who wants to stop by my house.
100%.
Clean my siding and my porch off. That would be great. Anyway, no, I really like Undead Citadel, and for what it's worth, I do feel like there's room for improvement here when this comes to PSVR 2 later this year.
Right.
I think with this type of game, the haptics is going to add something pretty significant to it. So I'm looking forward to playing this one again a little bit later down the road.
Possibly adaptive triggers. You know what's funny about the PSVR 2 controllers and stuff? This is today, and I was telling you, this is the first time that I've felt like I was slumming it with the PSVR 2 controllers in the respect of how good the tracking is with those Quest Pro controllers. And I can't remember what game it was. I think it might have even been Walkabout. And I said, I don't know, how do I play this on PSVR 2 now? Like, I'm in a conundrum because everything else about it is amazing, 100% better, except the tracking is not as 100% as with the Pro controllers. So
yeah, I normally play Walkabout on PC. I don't play it on PlayStation, even though I do appreciate the colors and a little bit of a field of view bump that I get on PlayStation. I need my tasks handled, bro.
it makes a
I can
difference.
only get that.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
That's true.
Eric, with Undead Citadel, I think the only thing that they didn't really nail as well as they could have is the exploration. So I love that these buildings are explorable and that you can go in there and find stuff to help. Typically my experience has been that the things that I find aren't as helpful as the time that I put into getting them. So I wish there was that they had leaned into that a little bit more, made it so that you can really, like, maybe if you found some more like super rare weapons or something by searching out, it would make it a little more worth your time.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like you're just kind of searching around. You're finding food and more food and food
Right.
and more food. And you're like, okay, what else do I got?
Every now and then you find a key or something that you need.
Yeah.
Although I got to say, in the last couple of levels, I was finding chests and things with locks on it that I couldn't open.
Ooh.
So I'm thinking maybe as the game progresses a little bit more, that maybe this aspect might improve a little bit, like the rest of the game has improved.
Yeah, could be all about the keys.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun to be had with this game. I mean, like I said, I think who was it? Somebody said earlier, kind of like had my Awesome Tatum said I wanted to like Undead Citadel so much it was good but not great, and I think that's kind of like where I am. I think it's really good. It's just not great. And we touted this game for a long time because we've been talking about this game, guys, for
A long
2.5
time.
years. And so we were anticipating, if you wait that long for a game, I want great. I want it to be great. And it's really good. It's a good game. But like I said, I think it would have been a great game a year ago or a year and a half ago.
I think
And
that's
now
what
it's just a good game.
that's the point. I think you nailed it. It's like this is a game that was started development so long ago, and they completed what their mission was. But sometimes getting that, making it relevant today is harder than it would seem, right? Not that it's not relevant. It's just a little dated as it came out, but it's still really fun. But yeah, good, not great, I think would be a good description.
So the question is then, is it good enough? Is it good enough to be the PCVR game of the month? Because again, Pixel Rip 78 came out this month, and I kind of feel like that's the question here. Is it Undead Citadel or is it Pixel Rip 1978? Eric, what are your thoughts on this?
So it's tough for me because, again, I played some of this. I just didn't play as much as I would have wanted to. And I do want to go back to this game because I do think there's a lot here. I've played through all of Pixel Rip 1978, and it's just a lot of fun, man. It's just a lot of fun. And I feel like if I maybe had given this more time, maybe it could be fun. But from what I have played into it, I think I have to go with Pixel Ripped just because I know it's a complete game, and I think it's one of the best games I've ever played. And I just haven't been far enough in this game. So I'll probably defer more to you guys on this one because I think maybe you have more time than me, but I think I'll probably pick Pixel Ripped for me.
So for me, as much as I enjoyed Pixel Ripped, and I had a blast. I did play all the way through it. I still think a significant amount of my enjoyment in that game is kind of novelty, right? It's kind of the nostalgia factor, the kind of older gameplay mechanics, this sort of thing. I feel like if you strip all of that away and you put the gameplay of Pixel Rip 78 up against Undead Citadel, for me it would be Undead Citadel. But, there's no need to strip all that stuff away because it's part of the package. But even at that, I feel like all the Pixel Rip games are pretty close to one another in terms of their overall quality, and Undead Citadel's a bit more. There's a bit more to it for me. So my vote goes Undead Citadel. Ruuts.
Oh God,
what say you?
I'm kind of I'm in the middle, man. Like I didn't put enough time into Undead Citadel. Most of the time I put into it was watching Wes play, and it did seem like it got more amazing as you went. But my problem is how many games do I? There's so many games that are so similar. This is different in its own way, but hack and slash, bow and arrow, running around, smashing shit, and it's like my biggest problem with it would be what Eric said. It's very repetitious, and so like I am going to defer my vote to the chat because I kind of. I don't know. I guess if I really got put to the wall, I would have to say Pixel Rip because I enjoyed that more than I did my time in here. But I didn't put enough time into this game to really have a valid vote in that respect, if that makes sense. So,
so chat comes down ever so slightly on the side of Undead Citadel.
There we go.
55 to 45. I think one vote separates them. So this is a close one. And here's the thing. As many of you know, the purpose of us doing Game of the Month is to kind of nominate games for our later Game of the Year, later on down the road. Are either of these going to really challenge for that title? I don't think so. I don't think
Probably
either one
not.
of them are really in that category.
Yeah.
I think Undead Citadel probably a little closer to being a Game of the Year type of game. But when you consider that either one of these would be going up against Vertigo 2, that game's in a different caliber, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think we could go wrong either way here.
Poll came down to 50-50 actually in the end with
Wow.
12 votes.
Wow, that's
50-50.
crazy. Somebody slid in right at the last moment. All right, so
Well,
we're going to give it...
I was going to say
let's give
that there's 14 reviews on Steam for Pixel Ripped, and they're all very positive. There's 14, and there's 60
That's
very
terrible.
positive for Undead Citadel. Now, granted, there's also 85 mixed, but that's 150 people have actually put it. I don't know. That's kind of weird. I guess
think,
maybe.
I think that goes to show you that a game that's like Pixel Rip that is kind of built with a standalone mentality because it's not graphically beautiful in any way. It's not something that's demanding on PC. Like, I think that is why you don't have as many reviews. Like, to me, the people that are gonna like kind of like go towards this game are gonna be PC fans, and then people that would go towards Pixel Rift are more gonna be like Quest fans.
Yeah.
So I bet you there's I don't even know. I have to look, but I'm just gonna bet that there's got to be a ton of reviews for Pixel Rift on Quest too, or at least more than here.
For sure.
But yeah, I think this lends itself to a PC game more than Pixel Rift does.
Bookworm17, the Game Cat asks Undead Citadel or Hell Sweeper?
That one's not even close.
Hell Sweeper.
Yeah.
Hell Sweeper, hands down.
That's why this game has no chance to me.
So yeah, I don't care what we do here. We can call Pixel Rip the winner because Ruuts went that way. We can call it a tie, which we've only done one other time, and it was because the games were so good that both of them deserved to win. This one, I don't think it really matters. So
35 ratings on Quest 2, Eric, for Pixel Rift.
That's not that good, actually.
I mean, they're all
pretty
4.5 stars,
terrible.
but it's just, I don't know, man. People just don't review anymore, it seems like, or I guess people have to feel like they have to be really compelled to review, right?
Yeah, I mean, usually Quest players are more reviewers than, like, there are some games that have, Quest games that have 600, 700 reviews. Plus, there's just more of them, right? I mean, there's how many millions of Quest players compared to PC VR players, but yeah, it just doesn't seem like you see as many reviews anymore.
Yeah, so I don't know. I guess we'll call Pixel Rip the winner. The PC VR game of the month will be Pixel Ripped, and yeah, congratulations, Pixel Ripped, you're the winner.
It is it is a really good game, and I definitely recommend playing it. So, what do you think,
For sure.
Grimlord or Undead Citadel?
For me, that's a good question. I think I like the combat, the minute-to-minute combat, better in Undead Citadel. But with that said, Grimlord says it's a lot deeper of a game, right? The progression's way deeper.
There's bosses.
Yeah, there's boss fights. There's a lot more than just swinging your sword or shooting your bow going on. So I think Grimlord's a better overall game, but I like the sword play better in Undead Citadel.
Yeah, the combat is good. Yeah, that's what matters. It's all about the combat in this game.
I think I want to put more time into both, and then let everybody know.
Agreed. All right, so let's move on to PlayStation VR 2. Just right off the top here, I want to say Pixel Rip 1978 is nominated for PSVR 2. We're not going to talk about it again because we just did a full segment on it. But just bear in mind that our PCVR Game of the Month is also a nominee for PSVR 2 Game of the Month. But let's talk about a game that we haven't mentioned yet, and let's talk a little bit about this Budget Cuts Ultimate. I'd never played Budget Cuts, the original Budget Cuts, before, so this was my first experience with it, and I didn't pay a lot of attention to the reviews, but my general idea was, or my feeling that I got, just based on looking at a few reviews and some thumbnails, is that this game wasn't as well received as I expected it to be on PSVR 2. And now having played it, I played through the entire original Budget Cuts on PSVR 2. I had fun with it, man. I enjoyed my time in this game. I don't know how different it is from the original version. It is a little bit slow at first to get started, but the later levels of this I found to be pretty challenging and pretty fun. Margaret, what are your thoughts on Budget Cuts?
You played Budget Cuts too, but you just never played the original?
Right.
Oh, okay. Because they do play differently, somewhat. They
Right.
feel different, I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was not a fan of budget cuts, but I was a fan of budget cuts too. So
So for the record, Budget Cuts Ultimate is both. It
I,
just puts them both into one seamless campaign. And I think that some of the stuff that got added in to Budget Cuts 2 is now usable in Budget Cuts 1. I think that's the case.
right. Yeah, so to me, like going back and playing budget cuts again, I'm like, I have no compunction to go do that in any way. Like I've done it. I don't need to do it again. And it's
So I think what you're mentioning here is really what's at play largely with the kind of lackluster reviews is I feel like everyone's already played this game, right?
yeah, I mean that's the thing with me. I remember when it was announced, I'm like, really, we're doing more budget cuts? Like, I mean, I thought they were okay games, but they were good. Again, these are okay games 5 years ago. You know what I mean? Budget cuts came out 5 years ago. Budget cut 2s came out 3 years ago. Like, I don't know why we're reliving these games. I mean, I guess, but I just don't know why we got to do them again. Now, if they're changing something and you're using eye tracking all of a sudden, and the adaptive triggers are amazing and the facial haptics, and I'm just wowed. But that's not the case here. You know what I mean? There's not a lot extra here that I'm getting. Maybe except, like you said, they're taking some of the budget cut 2 stuff and putting it into budget cut 1. But again, I don't want to go back into either of them again. I just don't. They were mediocre games back then. To me now, they're just so past their prime. I have no desire to go back in.
So what I think the idea is here is that on PSVR 2, those players never got budget cuts 2. And on Quest, those players never got budget cuts 1. So I feel like they're trying to bring it to new audiences is kind of the idea behind it.
Well,
And it isn't
it's a new console. Like, of course
Right.
they want, like the developers want to. That's why it exists. They want to make more money. They want to sell their version that's never came. The problem is exactly what we said. The game is what it is. It's a 5-year-old game. The gameplay is. It's cool when you play it the first time, but the majority of people have already played it, and you're not gonna. This isn't a game that they've done anything special to make me want, like Thumper or whatever, where it's like this is the definitive better version. From what you're saying, it's the same old, and so the game wasn't good enough to want to play through it multiple times. And one time was enough. And I've already played. I'm like Eric. I've already played through it. I was the opposite though. I didn't really care for the second one as much as I did the first one. I thought the first one was really cool and innovative back then, but I wouldn't want to play it again.
So yeah, that's kind of my sentiment too. Like I enjoyed it, but it was my first time playing it. So it definitely isn't something that I'm going to go back and play again. It was a little bit anticlimactic too, for what it's worth. You make it to the boss and budget cuts, and I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't played it yet, but it doesn't go the way that you expect it to go.
5 years.
I'll just say that.
You almost deserved to have it spoiled. Well, I guess it just came out on some platforms. Mickey Bear doing what he does and dropping a key for budget cuts too, and Steam key in the chat.
Nice.
Whoever
Anyway,
wins
I
it,
thought it was solid. I thought it was solid. It was worth my time. I'm not going to go back and play it again, but it was good. From the reviews, I was kind of expecting it to be low res or something like that. It wasn't. It was very clean, crisp graphically. Now, I mean, there's not a lot going on here in terms of like texture, but what they've got here was high resolution and looked good in the headset.
I think for me, it's probably not even. It's not budget cuts' fault. Like I'm blaming budget cuts because these ports are the reason that I'm having to fight off people about why PlayStation VR 2 is not blowing everybody away. Like, what are we doing here? Like, where are the games? Like that's the bigger story for me. It's not budget cuts, and I feel bad for budget cuts because it's not a bad game, but I'm giving it I'm upset with it here because this is the reason why, like, Radio Runt's like, why did I go buy a PlayStation VR 2? Because they're gonna give me budget cuts again? Like, these are the games that we have to see, and we're like, why are we doing this again? Where's the big picture here? And like, I know you have to have different game, you have to have some filler games. It just seems like there's a whole bunch of filler and not a lot of meat and potatoes. Like where are they? And that to me is the bigger picture, and it's really not about budget cuts. It's about a bigger story.
Right, and it's not about, there are a lot of new people coming into PlayStation VR 2. So, for them, that's great. And as long as the sales are there, that's all that matters, really.
But do we want to show new people coming into VR budget cuts ultimate? Like, is
No,
that
but
showing
but this is the thing. I could go onto Steam and I could show you 1,000 shitty PC games, but that doesn't mean that that's what PC gaming is. You know what I mean? And so, like, because there's so much coming into VR, there's going to be enough things to point to that is better, and maybe someone really would love the uniqueness of because it is a unique way of moving around and going through the portal and the story and stuff. I just don't. I'm kind of for me personally, I just don't care because it's been around for so long, and I'm like, Eric, I want the new stuff or the innovative stuff. My thing is if you're going to bring budget cuts in a thing like this to PSVR 2, give me foveated rendering, give me haptics, adaptive triggers, all sorts of really cool ways to make it feel different, and then I can feel like it's worth going through again. So.
Right.
Yeah, I'm down with that. If you're using eye tracking and you're going to use, eye tracking for aiming, or if you're going to do anything like that's going to be innovative and you're changing it in some way, but if you're just doing the whole ho-hum port all over again, that's not what we're looking for. And there's not enough games in the library. Like, Steam is great, and there's a lot of shit in Steam, but there's so many great games in Steam, and just the PlayStation VR 2 library is not big enough to have these ho-hum games. Like, can't afford it.
Yeah. I think that's on a lot of that's on Sony for not
100%.
releasing more first-party titles at this point. Anyway, I do like the library, but you're right. For someone who already has a lot of these games, it's hard to convince them they need to pick a headset up to play a better version of the games that they already have.
Right. Unless it's better, then I can make the easy point. Like, some of the games that I've played on PSVR 2 are hands down the better way.
Most
to play.
of them.
Yeah,
most of them are better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Speaking of which, one of the highlights of my weekend was playing Survive this past week. Eric and I got in there last night with Creeper Betty, and don't get me wrong, a lot of the jank is still there. But we were able to get into the same lobby pretty easily, repeatedly. That's a big plus. And two, I just think that this is a good game, man. Like, I just think it's fun to play. And Eric, I didn't want to stop when we quit last night. I want to play it right now.
Seriously, it was 3 a.m. for me, and I'm like, my daughter had like a tournament. I had to be up at 7 a.m. for a softball tournament. That's the only reason that we got done and quit. Like, because I think Betty would have stayed too. If we were like, yeah, let's stay, I think she would have stayed too. And we did have a lot of fun. We were having some like random people jump in and be our fourth, and it was cool, man. And like, I think what you said is right. Like, the jank is still here, but it's the game jank, right? And that's what it is alone. When you're playing the PC version, you have the game jank, and then you have the PC jank that's always there in the background in some way with something. So you have like a twofold thing, right, with Survive on PC. With PlayStation, there is issues you have to work through, but there are less of them, and any less allows this game to shine. And that was the whole thing with this game. The jank in PC just hid all the greatness that is in this game, and that's why you have people out there that like adamantly are like, this is one of the greatest games you'll ever play on PC VR. And then you have other people that are like, I can't play it. I played it for 45 minutes and it was so much jank I had to get out and I could never do it again. Kind of like us, because we tried it a couple of times. But the people that give it time and get through it will fight for this game and absolutely love it. So I think that's what it is with the PlayStation version. I had more fun in the time that we spent in it than probably triple the time I spent in the PC version trying to get the fucking thing to work.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really good. Roman Play says, yes, Wes, Survive is being slept on. It looks like a PS2 game, but it's super fun. Prefer the core gameplay loop to Saints and Sinners. And that's kind of the way I would describe this, Ruuts, is this is like this is it's like a game that falls somewhere between Arizona Sunshine and The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. It doesn't have like the deep progression and crafting and stuff like Saints and Sinners or the story. But what it does is it takes a gameplay loop like Arizona Sunshine and expands it into a big open map with lots of exploration and lots of like weapon upgrades. It's like you take you put Arizona Sunshine and Saints and Sinners together and sprinkle in a little bit of Zero Caliber, and you've got Survive. And it's really, really good. And really, the only thing that holds it back from being like one of the very best in VR is the bit of indie jank that comes with it. But with that said, in its current state, I think that it's worth working through that stuff to play. It's really an exceptional game.
My only problem with this game, because I did go in there and I played like an hour, I don't know, however long I was in there for quite a bit. I've moved on from Arizona Sunshine, and I'm looking forward to the new version of Arizona Sunshine, which will be more like After the Fall gameplay wise. These zombies aren't fucking fast enough for me. Like, I want Back for Blood. I want After the Fall. Like, if I'm gonna be shooting zombies outside of being with you guys in this environment, I feel like this would just be too slow for me. At least if that's how it's always felt. I'm glad there's a lot less jank in it, but like, legitimately, and I know it's one of your favorite games, but if somebody said, let's play Arizona Sunshine, I really want to play co-op with you, I would probably turn them down, because I really don't like the jank in that game, and the pace of it. The story was the crutch of it. That's why Arizona Sunshine was so good, and there's no story here either, or not much. So I don't know. I maybe if I had gone in and hadn't had to get up early and been so tired and played with you guys last night, I'd feel differently, but I feel like I probably wouldn't. Would have had a fun time, but I'd still be saying everything I say. It's just too slow. Like, zombies are too slow. I want them running. I want to feel like I need to fucking, like I'm in, there's a threat here, So
It may amp up. I don't know if it does. Do you know, Fs? Because
Well, I mean, it did a little bit even in the
There's
time
probably
that we were
more.
in there.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I had zombies, not all of them, but there are certain zombies. I don't know if like they just if when you catch them at a different spot, but they'll run at you.
there's a couple that I saw even in the tutorial area that are faster than others. I just felt like I was playing Arizona Sunshine in a way. And I guess if you really love Arizona Sunshine, this game would fit, and you would feel like this is just more of that, but better. I feel like Arizona Sunshine, kind of what Mash said about budget cuts, except for a little bit more better. I feel better about Arizona Sunshine because I really did enjoy that game. I've moved on. That was 6 years ago. And this game also feels dated in that respect. It's not a good game. Not that it's not a good game. It's just, again, I don't know if it was for me,
The difference with this game versus Arizona Sunshine is the exploration. You could search through certain areas and stuff in Arizona Sunshine, but you were pretty much just looking for clips and hamburgers. Where in this game, there's a large arsenal of diverse weaponry and upgrades, but you can't just upgrade them. You have to find the magazines so that you can learn how to apply the upgrades. Like, there's a lot more going on here with kind of the weaponry and the exploration than in Arizona Sunshine.
Yeah, and that's why I would say it's probably better from what you guys are describing than Arizona Sunshine. It's kind of like an in between. So I don't know. I just don't know if it's for me per se. At least in my time, like when I got out of the headset last night, I just didn't feel like I wanted to go back into this game. And I was hoping I'd feel different, but
just the opposite for me. I got out of this, like, even after playing all these other games, this is the highlight of my weekend for me. This is probably the best out of all these games that I played this weekend.
Part of my problem is
too, but yeah, I'm close.
Part of my problem too, and this is a personal problem, but I'm just getting burnt out with shooters. Like, there really is so many fucking shooters. Like, at some point, how many more games can I shoot a gun? You know, like I love shooters, but I just don't want to go in and shoot a gun in every single game I play. And it just seems like that is a good amount. And it's what everybody loves. It's just I'm getting a little burnt out myself on it, you know?
Right.
So.
I mean, what I do like about this one, I'm kind of with you too. Like, I mean, you know, the zombie, you know, survival game is starting to get, you know, is starting to get a little old. I do like about this one, the mission things that you have to do are kind of cool. So you're just not out there trying to survive. You have to go out and do things. And I don't think I would play this game solo. Like,
Right.
I was thinking about getting back in there just like Wes, but I was thinking about like getting back in there with Wes and Betty and, you know, and somebody else and get a fourth or get Ruuts in there and play. And
It's hard to play this game by yourself. I mean, there's so much that you depend on your teammates for. Like, you know, you're doing these things, but the zombies don't stop. Somebody has to get your back. The safe houses, you got to kind of have you know, when you respawn in one, you got to have someone to let you out. And this game obviously was designed around the co-op element.
Yeah, and I think that's where it kind of shines. Like, you know, there are definitely issues with this game that aren't perfect. You know, that's still, you know, like, and that's what bothers me a little bit is because we kind of know that the PlayStation game is probably close to the final version. The Steam version is still early access or no?
No, I think it's been updated. It might technically be early access. I don't think it is, though. I think it got some updates since we played it. And I'm pretty sure crossplay is even supported now between the two platforms.
That's cool. I mean, while there is a lot of fun to be had with this game, it still has issues. Like, even on the PlayStation game, it still has issues. Like, I still think they give you way too many guns. Like, they give you, like, I wish they gave you, you know, you had to build your arsenal. Like, they give you all this big, huge gun room that you can load yourself up with. You know, yes, you can't use all the attachments that you want, but, like, you go out and you find stuff in the game, and that's, like, half of the fun, right, is getting to a house that you know you can get inside of. When you find one of those houses that have lights on, because that's how you know when you can get into a house, it's cool because there's so much shit you can find there. But the problem is I already have so much stuff on me. I don't end up using half the stuff I find. Like, you want to be more rewarded for when you find some of these things. But I mean, it was cool finding like that backpack upgrade, Wes, that I didn't find the first time on PC. I never even knew there was a backpack upgrade where you can make your backpack bigger by finding something like that. So I'm sure there's a lot more that we just haven't seen because we've only played the first couple hours into the game.
Yeah, it's true. And maybe that's it. Maybe there's more gameplay will make this game shine even more. So
yeah, I agree, Eric. They definitely give away a lot of the stuff right up off the top, and I feel like that was kind of a mistake. Graphically, you know, I would have expected it to be a little more high resolution than what it is. Like the character models, environments, and stuff look good, but they're a little bit low res compared to what they should be on PlayStation 5, in my opinion. But it wasn't enough to take me out of the game. Like I said, I had a blast in this game, and I really do want to go back and play it some more.
yeah. I mean, it definitely is. Like I said, it's maybe something that need to get more time into and see how things unfold. But
the melee
Anyway.
was better than I thought last night. I hadn't really done a lot of melee. I found a freaking katana sword last night.
oh, the katana, dude, chopped somebody's head right off.
You don't even need a gun. I just want to go through and start chopping everybody's, because once you find that angle of, you know, because you don't want to like slice vertically, you want to slice sideways where you can. And once you get the angle right and you hit it, man, you could just keep running around lobbing people's heads off. It's awesome, man. The melee is a little cheap, but it's kind of cool. It makes you feel like a little bit of a badass.
Yeah, the two-handed stuff was a little bit weird, but anything you can swing with one hand feels pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty much most games. For whatever reason, two-handed melee is very difficult to get right.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I want to say Walking Dead probably has done it the best.
Yeah,
they had it pretty damn good.
Well, that's kind of the gold standard, though.
Yep.
Like, how many games are on that level?
Onslaught or no? Just kidding.
That was such a good game.
Walker's got me.
Yeah.
Walker's got me.
Anyway, a lot of months this would be the game of the month, hands down, on PlayStation VR 2. But this is no typical month because this month also saw Hubris launch on PSVR 2. Ruuts, a game that launched on PC late last year to some mixed reviews. But this is not the PC version of the game that came out in December. Lots of improvements, some of which are exclusive to PlayStation VR 2. But this is one of those cases where this is definitely the definitive version of what is a really good game.
Yeah, I keep telling Ray to run. Was trying to decide between this and Synapse. I said, dude, I would get both of them because they're both worth playing. One is a fast-paced, roguelike shooter, or I guess, shooter, and then the other is a story-based shooter, right? And both are amazing. It's probably one of the best games I've seen on PlayStation VR 2. Haptics are amazing, and the story's cool. And so, it's definitely, in my opinion, I think this is the end of the list, right? I mean, this would definitely get my vote. I don't see it beating either one of those other games. So.
Yeah, I think you're right. Eric, really glad that I didn't finish this on PC when it came out. Like, I didn't play through it all the way until it came out on PSVR 2, and I'm glad I did. I feel like this is the way to play it.
100%. And the upgrades that they've done since the PC version. Now the PC version still doesn't have them, but it's coming soon.
Right.
But they've changed the game, not significantly, but they've added enough to it now that I think, number one, the PlayStation VR 2 version it's the most beautiful version to play on, I think, or it's at least as good as the PC. And I think, with the controls and the adaptive triggers and, everything that PlayStation VR 2 has to offer, that makes it. And then, they upgraded the voices, they upgraded the gun mechanic. So I think, some of those things, they upgraded some of the enemy interaction. I think some of those things make it the definitive version to play, hands down.
Yeah, and it's great, and it's good on all platforms. Even like if you play it, like the Steam version hasn't been updated yet, but the Rift version has. So if you have this game on Quest, which we're going to talk about in a minute, you can also play it on PC and get kind of the best of both worlds. But it's a great game, and I think Ruuts is right here. There really isn't much discussion to be had about what the game of the month should be on PlayStation. But the question of this or Synapse, it really depends on who you ask, like, and what you want out of a game. They're very similar in terms of quality, I feel like. I would probably say like Synapse, but if you ask Brian Paul would tell you Hubris is a little bit better. I think the moral of the story is here, though, you can't go wrong with both great games, both must-owns.
Yeah, absolutely. If you ask me which game you're more likely to go back to and play a year from now, it's obviously going to be Synapse, because once you've played through a story-based game, it's usually the end of it, right? Like, usually. I don't know.
These are those games that I was talking about a little while ago that will make you want to go buy a PlayStation VR 2. Just need more of them. But I think these are those games. These are like system sellers. Like, these should, like, if you should be looking, if you're going to buy a PlayStation VR 2, you should be looking at these two games specifically and saying, I'm getting it because I need to experience, some others, but then these are two that you should absolutely have on your radar, unless you're just absolutely not into anything like this, game wise. But I mean, if you like adventure games, if you like shooters, if you like, I don't know, climbing, if you like, beautiful looking games, there's so much to be had in both of these games, but especially Hubris. It is definitely one of the best looking games I've ever played.
Yeah, they and for what it's worth, they just patched it like yesterday or the day before. They fixed the climbing in it. Like the grip was a little bit weird at first. They fixed that. They made it so that you don't have to. You can manually reload now anytime. You don't have to run the clip out first like it was before. So a few of the things that people were nitpicking them on, they've already fixed.
Yeah, definitely worth it. Definitely game of the month. Will it be game of the year? As amazing as this game is, I don't think game of the year doesn't end up being a first party. It's just personally, Resident Evil, whatever it is, it's definitely going to be way, 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 way up at the top.
I agree, but I do think that this game does belong in the discussion.
Absolutely, it is definitely in the discussion.
It's probably not going to win, but it unlike the kind of dilemma we had with Pixel Ripped and Undead Citadel a minute ago. I do think that this game deserves or at least as of July, deserves to be in that discussion for Game of the Year.
Yeah, I agree with Eric. In a lot of senses, this is definitely a system seller. Or was that you said it? So.
Anyway, moving along to Quest 2. Quest 2, in just terms of sheer quantity, was the winner this month. 15 to 20 games came out on Quest 2, and a lot of them we've already talked about. We Are One, No More Rainbows, Quantar, Budget Cuts, Pixel Rip 78, all that stuff came out on Quest 2. But you know what was kind of a huge surprise, Eric? Dark Sword Battle Eternity came out on Quest 2. And I had no idea that this game was even coming. I had no idea what it was when it launched. But I got in there and played it a little bit today. And it's actually pretty good, isn't it?
There's not many games that go under our radar. Like, you know what I mean? Especially both of us. Like, or, you know, any of us. Like, if a game gets past, like, we don't know what's coming out, or you don't know, or Ruuts doesn't know, or like anybody that I know, nobody even in my circle of people were like, hey, did you hear about this game? And like, no, nobody said anything. So when I get a game that drops and I'm surprised, I'm like, oh man, I've never heard of this game. Super cool. I'm interested. And like it's been out for like how long has it been? Is it like 2 weeks?
2 or 3 weeks. Yeah.
Like I just got in today, like, and I've had it sitting in my library, and I just got in today, and this was the game that I was talking about earlier, that if I had put 30 or 40 minutes into this game and that was all I could do, I probably wouldn't recommend that you go buy this game.
Yeah, I didn't like it at first at all.
Didn't
like
either.
I thought it, because it's a bit of a waggle fest at first, right?
It is, and it gets more. It's always going to be a bit of a waggle fest, I think, because from what I played, unless it gets like crazy different later, but I think it's always going to be that way. But I think there's enough in the movement and the way you have to do the battles that the waggle makes it kind of okay. Like, too many games rely on waggle, and that's the only thing that you have to do to get through them. And if you just waggled here, you are going to die. You're going to die. You cannot just wrist waggle and get through this. But if you do that, and then you do movement, and then you do this and that, and you have to upgrade, then you'll be okay. But this game does not really pique my interest until at least probably 40 minutes in. And Wes, I think this was, I loved Survive, but I think this was my favorite game that I played this month.
Wow.
I
I
am
enjoyed it.
like in love with this game right now.
Yeah, the progression kind of makes it, right? Because that's the fun part about it, is that kind of roguelike progression system that it has going on here, where you're upgrading in between runs. And I mean, it's a little bit easy at first, but it ramps up pretty quickly. Like the mini boss took me forever to get by, and I still haven't beat the first like major boss in the game. I haven't put enough time in, I guess, to be strong enough. Ruuts, how good does the game look? I mean, I was actually quite surprised at just how good it looked graphically, being that this is a standalone Quest game.
Yeah, no, it looks amazing. The models for the enemies are fantastic. I would say the melee is some of the best melee I've felt in a long time. I agree with what you said, Mash, with the waggle, but it works. There's so much going on that, like, it doesn't matter if you're waggling one enemy. There's so many things coming at you. You're not going to just be able to, just like what Mash said, do that. My only gripe is there 102 people that have put in this, and it's mostly I mean, it's like almost four stars. Almost everybody is positive on this, and all the negatives say the same thing that I say, and it's the movement speed when you're actually walking. I felt like I was so fucking slow, and maybe that's because they want to emphasize the dash a little bit more, right? So I just wish you could walk a little bit faster, because it really, really bugs me. That's the only thing that I feel like. Everything else is amazing, and like you said, maybe even further down the road, it just wouldn't make sense to go faster. And there's other things that, like, you get 2 dashes or 3 dashes, and then now, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure there's a reason for it. I just don't like it, but that's the only aspect that I could say that I don't like. You know, the game is really good, and the best part about it is exactly what you're describing. I want one that I'm going to go in there and I'm going to get this mini boss, and I'm going to finally beat it, and I'm going to work my way to the main boss, and that fuckers are going to be a bitch. It's the main reason why the Grimlord is a little bit disappointing, just from what I've read. I guess expectations and Dark Souls, and Dark Souls is so hard, and I want Dark Souls in VR, and then the correlation between the two, and then you get in there and it's not Dark Souls, and this one sounds like more like a Dark Souls where the bosses are fucking hard, and I don't know, I think it's good, and the fact that it's multiplayer, I think we should get back in there, or get in there and check it out. I can't say get back in there because none of us have actually played together, because you have to beat the boss to play together, and
Yeah.
so
It's so hard, dude. It's so hard. Like I said, I want to play the co-op. I was just trying to get to the point where I could play the co-op, and we haven't been able to get in there yet and do it. I'm looking forward to doing that. But Ruuts, I was 100% exactly the same way you were, because that's why I didn't like this game. Because I had gotten in there, you had mentioned that in our chat, and you're like, it's just the walking speed is killing me. It's too slow. And I'm like, I got in there and I'm like, this is terrible. I'm like, I can't move around. I feel like I'm walking through sludge. I'm like, this is not good, until like it dawned on me, like, I don't know, 20 minutes in, half hour in, like, you need to use the dash. And we're just like, we're always trained in our minds that we don't want to teleport. Like, I don't want to teleport, or I can't teleport. I have to have free movement, until it's a gameplay mechanic where you need to teleport. And the dash system, it reminds me of like Returnal. Like, you have to use the dash system in Returnal. They make you use it in there on purpose, because it's a movement thing, and that's why they make you want to do the dash thing here. And the whole idea of upgrading your dash and going through the run and finding that perk that gives you that double dash or the triple dash means, like, can mean a difference in a run. And I think that's when it like dawned on me, and that's when I'm like, this has the hook for me. It has the hook that I want. It has that gameplay mechanic that I'm always looking for in a game like this. And all of a sudden, and now it has me, and I'm probably going to go back in there tonight after we're done.
I think I would be better. I would prefer a dash, like an actual dash, instead of a teleport. You know, like, let me hit a button that lets me dash like that direction, instead of having to, like, I don't know. Even in this mechanic, I don't like teleport, you know? So it doesn't feel like a dash to me. It feels more like a teleport.
I will say this: the way that they have the controller mapped at first is to use the stick for the dash teleport. I changed in the options so that you can use the X button instead, and that felt better to me. I wasn't doing it accidentally, which is a problem in this game because you only get so many of them. Right?
Yep. Yeah, I did the same thing. I did it by mistake. And I'm going to do that now that you just mentioned. I'm going to change it, because I was doing it by mistake all the time. Every time I went to turn, I would dash by mistake.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this game is really arcadey, and for me, the sword play is a little bit too waggly for my taste. Like, it's the weapons have no weight. You can literally just stick your hand in and do this. But you're right. If you get that close, you're going to die. And that's the reason why I'm primarily an archer in this game. I'm keeping my distance. I'm shooting with arrows, and the upgrades that you can get on your way through a run really make or break the run for you, like any great roguelike progression system will.
But
I just thought it was really high quality.
Imagine how good this game would feel, saying that you're doing the archer. If you gave into the dark side and you got your Quest Pro, and you had like the bow and arrow feels so much better with this control.
It does too.
Well, I don't know. I get what you're saying. Like, I think, like, certainly in a game in Death it would make a big difference. This game's so arcade style. I'm literally like, bam, 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 like spamming arrows at the enemies to kill them. So I don't know if it would translate quite as much in this game, but I get the point. And you're right. Maybe maybe that's the missing link for me.
I think it's the missing link, and I think the show should buy Wes's controllers for him so
I
that
agree.
he can experience
100%.
the goodness.
I like it. Just do
Well, it's very tempting to hear you say that.
it. You need
You need to
them.
experience.
You
that.
need them.
Just take them back. You won't, but you just take them back.
You won't. Right. Oh, okay. Again, maybe, but Quest 3 is coming.
That's true.
and I don't want to be wasteful with the people's money. They don't we get a bunch of money. I don't want to just go blowing it for stuff I don't need. But maybe I will.
You can
We'll
sell
see.
2 Quest 2s and get a Quest 3.
That's true.
You're not going to
That's
need
true.
Quest 2s anymore. What do you guys think of this? Like the size of the set pieces. This kind of reminded me of Warhammer Age of Sigmar.
Mhm.
That's
Tempest
exactly when I saw the thing crumbling down. That beginning
Yeah.
scene of Warhammer reminded me of it a lot.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I had the same thoughts when I got in there. Honestly, I think visually this game looks better than Warhammer looked on Quest. Now, obviously, Warhammer on PC was just another level. But the way Warhammer looked on Quest, this is a better looking game than that game.
those enemies, that dragon. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like this is the thing. It matters. Like the things I'm fighting, the whole game need to look really cool, and they do in this game, for sure.
It doesn't look like a Quest game.
No.
No,
No.
like I would like to see this in PC just to see how much better it could look. But man, it looks damn good. And like I said, we haven't even gotten to the freaking multiplayer yet, the co-op.
I know.
And there was a couple of modes that I can't remember the names of them now. Do you remember Wes or Roots that
Those
were
are
like
free modes.
grayed out in the menu that aren't in there yet that I guess must be coming?
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, there was a handful of gameplay modes. There's a few of them now, and then there's going to be more. So yeah,
And a leaderboard. Did you see the leaderboard?
I did. I was way down it.
I
I was way
800.
down it.
I was 889.
Were you really?
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't matter though. What are you on Zombieland? I bet you're
I
not.
know,
not
I
sure.
gotta go back into the zombie land at some point.
Yeah. I want to try it on the
Anyway,
PC
this is
now
really
with my
good.
new controllers.
Yeah, heck yeah, you would love it.
Speaking of awesome surprises and good roguelike progression, Dead Hook came out this month on Quest 2 as well. A bit of cautious optimism leading up to this release. Glad to say, Ruuts, that wasn't disappointed with the ultimate version of this game. It's actually really fun. There was a little bit of jankiness with the UI, but they've patched that out now, and you just have a super fun, fast-paced game going on here now.
Yeah, it's definitely unique, and I don't have the same problem that Eric has. I didn't really get into Outlier. I don't even remember if I think I might have played it once, but so like this to me, this whole mechanic and the way everything is new. I don't have anything to base it on or wish it could be. And I really enjoy this game. There's a lot of different enemies, and the action is so fast paced, and it's just one of those games where you're just constantly going to be moving around and crazily frantically trying to kill things and progress and upgrade your stuff, and that's what I want out of a roguelite, right? So
Spider-Man with Doom.
yes,
No, I'm not kidding.
Spider Doom.
Spider Doom, yeah. Eric, I really had a lot of fun, and if I look back at my past month in VR, the games that I went to the most, not the most time in, but the games I went to and started playing the most, Dead Hook is probably, well, Synapse and Dead Hook were probably neck and neck with one another. I kept going back to this one even after we covered it because I just had so much fun playing it.
Yeah, it's a good game. It's really good. They did a good job, moving this engine over and making it a Quest 2 game. I think the movements is good. It's fast. The grappling with one hand, shooting with the other is really good in this game. The enemies are kind of diverse and the environments are a little boring. It's a good game. It's definitely a good game. I think Joyway did a good job. I don't like the crafting system.
yeah,
It's convoluted. It's like it's like they made it overly complex.
It's confusing.
Just-
It's confusing.
I'm like, why? Why did you don't make me like like I want to be able to do it and feel good about doing it. You made it like a task. Like now I got to go do this and figure this shit out. I'm like I don't want to do that.
Yeah, a lot of stat reading and a lot of the same stuff, and the way they have it is like buffs will alter the stats, but you
Right.
can't see that until you have it in your inventory. The ones that you're looking at on the bench don't reflect that, so it makes it a little bit more difficult. Yeah, you're right. A lot of the again user interface is kind of the weakness of the game with the upgrades in run and outrun. Like, but it's the same thing both places. Um, but for me, this game is all about the gameplay, and it just feels really good. And I play it for what it's worth. I play it just like Outlier. Like the movement is pretty identical for me. Like the only difference is now you can see this thing shooting out of your hand. But I just constantly pull myself through the air and shoot down on the ground, and it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah, I kind of went when you said that the other day. I think we were as a CruCast. I went back in and I didn't play it that way the first time, and I went back and played that way the second time, and got better at it, better with it. Like I think that's how you need to play with it. You need to like use it as like a one-handed kind of like grapple through or pull your way through the environment and shoot with the other. Because that's when I got faster and that's when I got better going through the environments. Like you need to move in this game. You cannot. You should never ever be standing flat-footed in this game. Like this game is meant to be played from the air, grappling from one spot to the next.
Yeah, super cool. I liked the diversity with the enemies, the environments. There certainly should have been probably 3 or 4 times as many at least different environments compared to what they have here. They do get repetitive, um, but no, it's a good solid game, and I think at $20, it's something that Doom shooters should go check out. It's definitely a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the roguelike is, I mean, the progression is good. Like your upgrades and everything, like that's the biggest thing too is, do you feel like there's something that you're gaining by playing and you're becoming more badass, right? And that's something that's important, I think, in these type of games.
Absolutely. Although I'm starting to wonder now, when are we going to get tired of this kind of progression? Because every good game has it, right?
Yeah, as long as it's done uniquely in a unique way, the progression is great. It's just when things become, a lot of developers borrow from others, and then then you have like the standard, and everybody's doing it, and then it just becomes old hat, right? So
Right. It's not old yet, but I can see it coming. You know what I mean? I can see it if we keep it up, or we're gonna get tired of these games. So
yeah,
people need to figure out a new idea quick.
I
It was
just
amazing that this was like a taboo gameplay like a year ago or 2 years ago. Like
Right.
nobody
Yeah.
wanted them. Like you couldn't. If you said roguelike, and people are like, nope, I'm out.
It was because it was gimmicky, because there wasn't the progression depth wasn't there, and so like they had the idea, but it was shallow and it felt shallow, and so like that's the feeling you got when you heard that name, is like shallow. It's like almost what you want, but it's not quite. It's like that favorite dish that you get everywhere, that you go to a restaurant and it's almost there, but it's not quite, and you're like, this is kind of garbage, even though it's okay. But this is actually really good, I think. Definitely worth checking out, especially like Wes said, for $20.
Um, so we move along to a fishing game. Eric, we don't have enough fishing games, do we, bro?
I don't think we really do. There's not a lot, is there? And I don't
Free?
really like. Yeah, I don't
Pretty
really
good
like
one.
fishing games. Like I'm not a big fishing game fan normally. Like I'm not like a real VR fishing. Not that it's not great. Like I want to say like VR fishing is a beautiful game, and it's like it's really well done. It's just that it's not for me, right? It's like not my kind of game. I'm not like a person who wants to go relax in VR. Like you know what I mean? I'm just not. There are people that just want to go in there and just like chill out and fish, and it's beautiful and like photorealistic, and the mechanics are awesome. It's just like I'm like, okay, no, I want to move on and go do something else. But I think fishing in VR is a smart thing. I mean, like it feels really good to do it in VR, I think.
Yeah.
Well, real VR fishing. This game is not. Roots. This is an arcade fishing game, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Although it does play, take some of, what makes real VR fishing really cool and puts it in there. Like I really thought what was cool about this is as I started filling my fish tank up, and just watching everything, adding each fish, and you can add multiples. But the best thing about it is the fact that what real VR fishing doesn't have. This game kind of pulls you through with missions and stuff, and you're getting stuff. It's got a crafting, system which I haven't really done too much with, but I got a whole bunch of meteors and whatever else bullshit they keep giving me. But I actually played like an hour and a half into this game, and especially that second world that you first, you get to with the mushrooms and stuff. I couldn't believe how good this
Beautiful.
game looked on a fucking quest, man. Like
I
the
know.
water looks phenomenal. Like they really did a good job with this game. And one of the coolest things, and this is kind of seems silly, and maybe if somebody else feels this way, and I don't know if it's like a nostalgia from something else that I played or when I was a kid, but the music that starts to play as you're trying to catch the fish, I just really liked it. It really fit. It just was cool, and I just liked the arcade feel of it. It was cool.
Eric, I definitely feel like the production value is the strength of this game. The way it looks, the way it sounds, just as top notch as it could possibly get.
Yeah, and this is like another one of those games that I'm learning a lot of lessons this week, guys. I really am. This is again, for me, I want to make sure I start putting more time into these games before I give my final judgment on them. And here's another thing: I need to start trying more games that I don't think I would like. Because literally, I went in here, I went in here because Impact. They asked Impact Reality to take a look at this game and see if we could like help them kind of like push it to some creators. And I'm like, I don't know, guys. This is not this is not me. Like I normally don't do these things, so I'm like, I don't know if we can do this. And they sent us keys, and I went in there. I literally was going to go in for 15 minutes, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to go in and get this thing quickly. And if I think it's okay, I'll just go with it. But if I don't like it, I'm not going to be able to do this. And I went in there I was going to go for 15 minutes, and like 2.5 hours later, I'm in that mushroom cave, and I'm freaking having a blast. And I'm like, holy crap, man, my headset battery is going to die. I'm like, how in the hell did I get in here? And how did this happen? And, and this is just, I don't know what it is with this game. I think Ruuts is right. There's something with the music or the presentation. I like the idea that I have like a kind of like a campaign story, like I'm trying to accomplish something. It gives me like purpose to keep doing the fishing so I can move to another level, so I can find these two like characters, Mac and Cheese. And here's the other thing too. I love Baobab. So it helps when like the studio behind it is a studio that I like because they make immersive experiences that I really get into. So I think that helped too, but I think that's definitely something I'm going to take away from this is maybe I need to go play Power Wash Simulator and try it.
Or Garden of the Sea. Which
I'm not gonna, I already tried Garden of the Sea. It's garbage.
Did you? You didn't like it?
No, I hated it. I hated it.
People really love that. If you love Animal Crossing,
I tried.
I'm not a big Animal Crossing person
No, me
either.
neither.
It's just like Alex VR's one of his favorite games is like an old school Zelda game that I watched D play for like 5 minutes, and it's like it's just cartoony, and I can't. This sucks. Like, give me Breath of the Wild. Give me like new Zelda. So.
Right. No, but yeah, for me, this game is all about the production. It's about being in there. I mean, the gameplay's solid. It's fun. It's very arcadey, but it feels good. Everything's well done. Like the casting feels good. The way that you reel depends in real life, or much like real life, depends on what kind of lure you're using. There's good progression with you unlocking new lures and new environments. But for me, what really makes it worth my time was just the overall polish and production of it. It's just it seems like a first party application, right? It seems like a AAA type deal, even if it is cartoony. It's beautiful and it's really well done. So if you like arcade style games, if you like something with like Pixar level quality, you'll probably like Galactic Catch.
Let me ask you this, Eric. How much time did you put in? And I agree. How much time did you put into Garden of the Sea? Because Roman says, I grabbed Garden of the Sea on sale yesterday for $7 or £7. Played it 5 hours straight. Love it. So maybe you just didn't put enough time into it. Maybe, it's one of those things.
It was like a good 2 hours. I gave it a good shot. You know the reason why I gave it a good shot? I think somebody bought it for me. I think it might have been Guido bought it for me. Because I'm like, if I'm like, hey, look, I'm not buying this game, but if somebody buys it for me, I'll go play it. And I think that's what happened. So I felt obligated at that point to go play it, and I did. I put like 2 hours. I'm not, and the gameplay is fine. It's just you guys would hate this game. Yeah. You guys would hate this game. This is one of those games where it's all about doing menial tasks to like move yourself forward. Like you need to go collect this from this and grow this to get that to like make this to like get to that. And I'm like, it feels like a chore. Like everything in there feels like I need don't make me go do that. I don't want to have to go collect 15 things to go this so I can get a boat to go to this island over here. And I'm like, and just there's not enough cute stuff. Like this, like Betty plays it and she loves it. And she's like, did you see the cute little things? And I'm like, no, I don't care.
You're like, I don't give a shit.
I don't give a shit. It's just boring to me. But the game itself, I'm sure the game itself and the gameplay is great. Like again, if you're a fan of like Animal Crossing, I'm sure it's fantastic.
I wouldn't play Animal Crossing flat either.
Yeah.
And so to be fair, and I think that's the real deal. It's like if you love it, then you love it.
I think what I will do now though is, I need to go back to real VR fishing. I think and give it more of a chance. I know because
that's a good game.
It is, and I don't think I ever gave it enough chance just because I don't know, because again, you're busy and you try and move from one game to the next, and I think there's a lot to do in that game, and I think I need to like give it more. And the multiplayer, you can get in there and watch YouTube videos, right, and listen to music, and like there's a million different things you can do in there now. So I think if I get in there with a couple of people and hang out, and we can, like we should do some meetings for Impact Reality. Like forget about going to we're talking about going Horizons. Horizons is boring. Let's go to real VR fishing and do meetings in there.
How many people can you fit in there?
I don't know.
That's
no
the
idea.
question.
I've never done it.
That is the question.
Yeah.
I've heard someone else ask that very same question recently. You know who else that might be?
My mom.
Ah, yes. The more the merrier. Actually, there is no limit. I told her she should get one, but I don't know.
People in chat must know. I mean, there's a ton of people that play it in chat. I mean, how many people can you guys get in there? I mean,
I thought it was just two, but
maybe it's just two. I don't know.
My thing is like, do I really want to go in and listen to or have a YouTube video while I'm fishing with somebody else? That's to me, that's like something you put on when you're doing No Man's Sky or Elite Dangerous, and you got this long fucking. You just don't. It's boring. What are you gonna do for 15 minutes as you're flying across the universe or whatever it is? I would think you would want to enjoy the company of the other person, unless it's maybe music. But I don't know. I don't think that's to me as a real multiplayer draw as much as it would be solo. So
Assassin 32, Michelle B say 4 people can play real.
Oh,
that's pretty good,
together.
man.
Yeah,
that's pretty good. I'm down.
Yeah. Well,
I'm down
okay.
as
So
well.
would you guys be offended if I went in there and I just sat there and let you guys do the fishing? No, I'm just kidding. Actually, I think in VR I probably would be inclined to actually.
We should just do a whole show from in there.
Yeah, we could. We could do it. How about
you're just fishing, right?
What we could
fishing and like talk.
Here's an idea. We invite it like a developer or something, and we do an interview. Oh wait, we've already done that.
Whoa, that would be cool. What a great
What an idea.
What a great idea. I think it's already been done.
All right, so Oculus Quest. We have We Are One. We have No More Rainbows. We have Quantar, Budget Cuts, Pixel Rip 1978. We have Dark Sword, Battle Eternity, Dead Hook, Galactic Catch. The question is, are any of these games good enough to knock Hubris off of its spot? Because, while some of the things we said about the PSVR 2 version of this game don't apply here, I do feel like this game is in pretty rarefied air versus 90% of the Quest catalog. Like this is a technical achievement on Quest.
Yeah, the only thing that I could really definitively tell a difference was a little bit of shimmer, like on the outside, like some things, but not much. Like literally, if you didn't play either of the other versions, like this game is gorgeous. It's really good. I mean, everything that we said about the game being a really good game, exploration wise and story wise, still exists, right? So.
Yep. Yeah. This game shouldn't be possible on Quest, should it, Eric?
I think I know I absolutely said that when this game came out on PC, I'm like, we'll never see this on Quest. There's no way we'll ever do it. And I think at the time that was probably the case, and they just worked their asses off, and technology got better, and they figured things out, and they made it work. But I really didn't think there was any way that you would see a version that was this good looking. Like they could have like completely stripped the game away and just done a completely dumbed down version, and I'm sure they could have done that, but that would have been such a disservice to the game. I don't think they would have wanted to do that. So I think they were finally able to get something that is so damn close to the PC that they can be super proud of, that absolutely will blow people away. And it's a marvel. I cannot believe it's a freaking mobile phone chip that's running this game. And like you scratch your head. Like sometimes we take it for granted, like what this freaking headset is and what these developers are able to do with it. I mean, literally think about the mobile phones on the games on your mobile phone, and this is what they're using to make this. It's insane.
Think about what they could do with this game or any game like it on this technology if the standard was the Quest Pro and it had eye tracking and you had foveated rendering. I think you could make this look just as good as the PSVR 2 or pretty damn close. You know what I mean? And that's kind of why it sucks that the Quest 3 is not having eye tracking. Like that's a big deal for a lot of reasons.
It is a big deal.
So
yeah, I literally think that I don't know Quest 3, but whatever is after, that is the affordable headset, the Quest 4 or Quest 3 Pro, I think we will see most of the games be PC quality games. Like I think we're that close. I really do.
I do too.
I think we're on that verge. Like people are about to say like PC VR gaming is dead, and I don't think that's the case, because I think PC VR quality gaming is that close away. Like we're like one generation of a headset away from getting there. Like if we can do this now, what can we do a year? Well, like what can we do a year and a half from now or 2 years from now? Like I think we're that close.
Well, what do we do when the cloud gaming takes over completely and your Quest 3 or Quest 4 or whatever is now doing the bulk of the work on the other end, and it's just now about connecting and keeping everything running smooth, and we're so much closer than that than I think people know. I think Quest is kind of setting themselves up. That's kind of why they're backing off of the PC as much, even though they're not. It's kind of a weird dance that they're trying to do to position themselves to be in the right place with the right hardware, with the right infrastructure. So
right, absolutely. So Ruuts, I guess we'll start with you this time. We've got Pixel Rip 78, we've got Dark Sword, we've got Hubris. I feel like those are kind of the three this month for Quest. Where do you fall on this?
I don't know. My thing is I love Pixel Rip 1978, but I don't think it's better than Hubris, and I don't think it's better than Dark Sword. At least not in the Dark Sword. I think if I had to be pressed, which I guess I kind of am, that's where my vote's going to go, because it's unique and it's different, and it's like just hearing you guys describe trying to get past the first boss to even get to the multiplayer and how difficult it is and how unique it is. I just think that it's a really good game. That's where I'm going to vote. So.
That's Dark Sword for Ruuts. For me, I think I need to play more Dark Sword. It seems right now like maybe the scope of the game isn't quite going to be on the level of a Hubris. So I think that's where my vote's going to fall. I think Hubris is exceptional and one of the best games we've ever seen on Quest. But Dark Sword could turn out to be that. I need more time in it. So yeah, for me, back against the wall, Hubris. Eric, where are you coming down on this?
I don't even know how I got to this point. Like, I really don't. Like, if you asked me yesterday, it was going to be Hubris hands down. Like, I wasn't even close. I really like Dark Sword, man. It is a really, really good game, and it looks. This game again, and I didn't even like it for the first 30 or 40 minutes. I was like, eh. But this game is really good, and we haven't even gotten to the co-op yet, which I think could be awesome.
Yeah.
Like, dude, like this is killing me. Like I love Hubris. I beat it on the PlayStation VR 2 and the Quest 2, and I didn't finish it on PC VR. Like, and I loved it on both. You know what I mean? It's such a good game. I don't even know, like, I don't even know how I got to this point where I'm thinking about it. I'm not even going to look at what the poll says. I'm going to go dark. No, I can't. I'm going to go Hubris. I'm going to go Hubris just because I can't. If it wasn't because of it was the Quest, I would probably vote Dark Sword. But Hubris Quest is an amazing achievement, and I think it deserves it.
How about this? Hubris with a Dark Sword runner-up, so that we get more time in Dark Sword to see if it is better than Hubris.
Yes.
I think you're onto something there. And for what it's worth, Hubris won our poll, 47%, but Dark Sword not far behind with 35%. Pixel Rip bringing up the rear with 18. So yeah, I think that's the way to go. I think Hubris deserves to be the game of the month. But again, I want to take a rain check on Dark Sword because the co-op might just set that game off in ways that we're not even expecting.
Has the potential to be just amazing, especially if all the bosses are like that, and it just gets, you know what I mean, the depth, the progression, the fact that there's multiple dashes, and yeah, I think it's cool.
Yeah,
for those of you who
are
be
a game that we go back to, like and play, like, you know, we have those games now, right? That we go and we do them as like games that we want to get into with like the community or with each other. Like we want to get like Ghost of Tabor. I think this could be like in that rotation.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this.
Sure.
This is since this is the end and we've kind of just decided, and it's completely off topic, but I've been thinking about this a lot. Why do I need to play Tetris with my stuff in Ghost of Tabor? Why can't I just get a bigger backpack that I can put my shit in like every other game? Why do I need to, like, it's in such a game where there's so much going on and it's all about fast paced. Why do I need to stop and play Tetris with my fucking items? I don't like it. I feel like they need to, I don't know. I love the aspect of upgrading bags, finding better backpacks, whatever. Just let me put my shit in there and not have to try to see if it all can fit in some fucking VR way. I don't like it. So.
I agree for what it's worth. I spend so much time trying to organize my backpack when I should be watching my ass.
It's just not it's not a streamlined thing.
It's the same thing in Tarkov though. Like Tarkov is all about Tetris. Like that's
but this is the thing
from Tarkov. Like I you know how many times. I mean, I remember the time that Ruuts got killed, fucking around in his backpack because everybody left him, and I had gone back to like try and go to him, and he's like, "Where did everybody go?" And he was like, he was raiding
looting.
He was looting and trying to move shit around in the backpack so you can get more shit out, and you end up getting shot. And like that, and this game like is trying to be, you know, Ghost of Tabor is doing everything it possibly can to be one of the most popular games like this ever, which is from Tarkov.
I just feel like just like everything else, there's certain things that work flat and certain things that frustrate flat or in VR that work at flat, and that's one of them. I don't like it. You know, it's a real. Yeah, go ahead.
It should be like Into the Radius. Because so much of what's in this is straight out of Into the Radius, you know, assets wise. But the way the backpacks look identical, but they work differently. Into the Radius is exactly the same, except Into the Radius lets you stack similar items. So there's a limit to what you can carry, but you can carry a little bit more because you can overlap similar items on top of each other. Or on top of themselves, and it's up to you how organized you want to get with that, or if you want it to just be a clusterfuck. So I mean that would be a real easy switch, but I get what you're saying, that they're going for realism and they want to make it as real as possible, but at the same time I feel like in doing that there's a lot of frustration that comes with it because certain things, and maybe it'll get better as the game goes on and they polish it up a little bit more. But like trying to fit things into the backpack, can cause certain kind of glitches and things that are kind of tough to deal with, especially with larger items.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right now there's only 2 backpacks too, which is difficult. Like you need to have like 5 different backpacks that you can either bring or find to make it bigger. Like they're and which will come, I think. Just right now,
I would even be happier if they just had slots, like like Tarkov, where there's so many slot squares and you have to turn things to make it fit or whatever. It's just the weirdness of trying to put it in a VR backpack. It's weird to me. Maybe if they streamline it and they can make it flow better, and maybe it's just me. I don't know.
Anyway, with that said, I think that's our show, ladies and gentlemen. Hubris, the big winner this month, but that was expected. What was unexpected were these games like Survive and Dark Sword. They kind of snuck up on us a little bit and ended up making this more of a discussion than we expected it to be initially.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be not even a question. Like Eric said, I thought Hubris had this hands down, and it changed not only my gameplay that I played, but hearing you guys talk about your gameplay changed my vote, because we don't have enough games like that are just genuinely hard to get past a boss, and fun to play. So.
Yeah, and then having a game like Dark Sword that just came out of nowhere too, like that's kind of like gets it for me too, because I did not even I've had it in my library for like a month, and I just haven't had a chance to get into it. And I didn't feel like I needed to because I had no knowledge of the game. And like, I'm so sorry that I didn't now. Like I could have been hanging out playing that game. I could have been playing that game in Mexico, like on my Quest Pro, and I just didn't because it wasn't on my radar to go in and do it. And I'm so happy I went in today. And again, I'm so happy I gave it time. Like, that's just like a big thing for me right now. I got to be very careful in how I do these things sometimes.
So Looper says, so Survive is better than Pixel Ripped on PSVR 2? Yeah.
For some. It's not for me, but it is for Wes. It depends on what kind of game you like, I
think it's deeper too. Pixel Ripped is a game that you can really finish in a few hours, and I just feel there's so much. Like, I think I'm just scratching the surface in Survive, and being able to go in there and do multiplayer games. I like Ruuts is right. I think depending on what you like and what you want to do, but I think Survive just has more available and more there.
Oh, that's for sure. Yeah, Pixel Rip's cool for what it is, but a lot of it, again, is the novelty of it. And for me, like, Survive is a much, like, we'd be close to the amount of time it's going to take to get through the first, like, chapter of Survive is going to be over half of playing through Pixel Ripped. You know what I mean? It's just so much more game.
Looper, the Underground Game Cat, says, don't get me wrong, I've beaten Survive and love it. I just love Pixel Ripped more. That's coming from somebody who's played
so
through.
Good. Yeah. It's a tough choice. It is. It's not easy. I think they're both fantastic games. I don't know if I would have said that before the PlayStation VR 2 version of Survive.
I would have. No, I wouldn't have. Absolutely
the PC
wouldn't
version
have.
Was not. I would have said Pixel Ripped.
PC version, I still am shell shocked from our experience. So, you know what I mean?
Remember we were trying to stream it, and like when you get damaged so much, your whole screen turns red. You literally can't see to like either help yourself. You can't even see to get in your backpack to grab the spray that you need to, because you're just fumbling around. You can't see anything. All you see is red.
This is the thing. If you want that to be the mechanic, let it fade in and out. Let me see for 5 seconds, and then 5 seconds it's red. Give me a window to fucking fix it. Because if I can't fix it, what are we doing? I don't know.
Virtual Slayer Cat with the $5 Canadian says, you guys know who else makes it fit?
My mom!
Oh,
she's got the virtual backpack.
Yeah, dude. Anything will fit. She does,
but hers works a little bit more like Into the Radius, where you can stack them on top of one another.
It's kind of, it's more like Hermione's backpack or bag, where you just go in there. It's like huge cavernous place. That actually sounds. But
thank you, Virtual Slayer Cat, for the support. We very much appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, that's our show. Be sure to tune in tomorrow to PSVR Without Parole as we get into the top 25 debate, the first one of many, I'm sure. And we'll be
Hubris
back
going to be
here.
on your top 25.
Well, you have to tune in tomorrow.
Beat
Oh,
Saber.
look at that.
Beats, I want to know what
Beat Saber's
Saber.
out. Hubris is in.
I'll tell you what. There's other voices in there, and for some reason, I feel like Beat Saber probably won't be out. But I know Wes is trying to push for that. So if you want to help Wes kick it out, you need to be there. Or if you want to help everybody else save it, I'm going to vote for it. I think that it needs to be there. This is the honest truth. I keep saying this because I kind of want to try the PlayStation VR 2 version. Is there no definitive reason? Is it not better? Is there not better haptics? Is there no reason to play it over any other version? Or
I mean, I would guess the haptics are probably
I don't
better.
know. I've heard, I haven't been in there, but I've heard people tell me that it's exactly the same. No haptic difference.
well, Alex
There's no
VR
triggers,
would say
right?
that's
So-
amazing that it's the same because it's such a good game. Right, Eric?
Yes. Yeah, I guess.
I'll tell you what, with the pro controllers, it was amazing. It was like slicing butter.
Wes,
But,
how aggressively are you going to fight for your top 25? Like, are you guys going to get into like a fight, like an argument?
No, because
No,
did
it
you
was-
say you're getting rid of the debate part of it? Because that's kind of the fun part of it, right?
No. We're not getting rid of the debate part of it at all. I just said the way we're going about it's a little bit differently. And the chat is we are going to lean on them quite a bit to settle disputes, but there will be disputes. I assure you.
That's
Oh, yeah.
the most fun part of it. Like, I want to go in and hear some people's passionate, pulls for some of their favorite games. Like,
Do you think Walkabout
Uh,
Mini Golf will be on that list?
is this PlayStation VR 1 and 2? Or
No, it's just 2.
No, just two.
Okay.
So there
That
won't be
changes
as
it.
much emotion tied to it as with PSVR 1 and 6 years of a game catalog and everyone has their favorites. That dynamic probably won't be present because we're talking about a 3-month-old catalog here, but or a 4-month-old catalog. But there will be disputes, and we will be leaning upon chat to help solve them. So
I am
Everyone
going to put my
should
own list
show up.
together,
all right, cool,
and we'll talk about it when you're off the air.
sure, absolutely.
Maybe we'll talk about it on Monday.
He's trying to influence your list. Oh, I guess it's over.
I gotta think because I want to put if we're not doing PlayStation VR 1, I mean, I've tried every one of these games, so I think that when probably Root, I think I feel like I'm pretty confident I can put together a good list, and I would like to see where my list. So I'm gonna, before you guys go on live, and that's what everybody else should do too. Go put your own list together, and then
See if it
let
matches
everybody
up.
go watch.
I
want
wanna
to see
know
how it
where-
matches up.
I want to know where Upload VR's Game of the Year.
They did one. They did one after we announced that we were going to do this. They put one out.
Well,
course
no,
they
I
did.
want to know what their Game of the Year from last year, where that's going to fall on that list. Because what the bat is, it's still out there, man.
It was
You know?
like 12 or 13 on it. 12 or 13, something like that.
Oh my God, you can't find other games that are better.
I know, right?
Come on.
Anyway, tune in for that tomorrow. We'll be back on this channel next Friday. So if you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you ring the bell so that you can be notified next time we go live. In the meantime, hit us up on the Discord. We're in there 24/7, 365, chatting it up, talking about games, talking about life. Absolutely free to join. And yeah, come join.
Yep.
Oh yeah, Patreon. Yeah, if you guys want to do a little something extra, $3 per month. That's all we ask. We give you our weekly show notes. We give you insider updates. We give you exclusive content, all for less than $1 per week, and you get to feel good about yourself knowing that you bought me Quest Pro
Pro
controllers.
controllers, that's
Nice.
right.
Go get it. You gonna order tomorrow?
I'll tell you what,
No, I'm
Wes,
not gonna order it.
I didn't think it would be as much of a game changer as it is when it comes to like just those little things, Scion
If I
VR,
played it more, if I
would
played
love
my
it.
Quest more, I might would consider it.
You should go do it
honestly.
and just see. Like you said, you got 30 days, I think, right? Go get them for 30
If you order
days
them
and
from
see what you
Amazon, you have a lot longer. I think it's Best Buy. I get my stuff. It's like 2 weeks, but in that time frame, that you know.
And with
And-
that said, friends, I'd like to thank you all once again for watching. For Ruuts and Eric, I'm Wes. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Take it easy.
See you
Oh.
later.